Chapter 44:20. The earth trembled, and a crazy roar sounded. Jingyun, who was in the distance, exploded again. However, when his soul looked forward, he was indeed stunned, because he discovered that his younger brother was also suppressed. Damn it, how was this possible? His younger brother was a half-step holy king. How could he be suppressed by that brat? Could it be that countless geniuses and experts had joined hands as well? However, when he realized that Lin Xian was the only one who had done it, he was completely stunned. When the toad saw this scene, it laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha, this is your genius younger brother? Why do I feel that he's so trashy? I say the people in your family are all trash. Damn it, are you courting death, Aunt? Jinka was suppressed, and when he heard the toad's voice, he also roared crazily. When had he ever been mocked by such an ant? So he roared angrily, and countless terrifying runes appeared on his body, condensing into a long saber phantom. It surrounded his body. It actually blasted the divine mountain up. The toad was shocked. Damn it, he can still come out. Kid, hurry up and beat him up. Lin Xian also snorted coldly. You're not my match at all. Do you think that you can look down on everything just because you're a half-step holy king? You might be able to do it elsewhere, but not in front of me. Buzz. Lin Xian used the invincible sword and directly sent it flying. Jinka had just gotten up, but he was instantly sent flying. Another crack appeared on his body. Damn it. Kill. He retreated and rushed to the back, wanting to save his brother. Then he left. However, at this moment, a figure blocked his path. Damn it, get lost. Seeing that it wasn't Lin Xian, Jinka also roared crazily. However, that man shot forth a punch. Are you courting death? Other than Lin Xian, who surprised him, he didn't care about the others. So he also slashed out with his saber. However, in the next moment he was once again in despair, because he discovered that this person's fist was really too terrifying. It carried an incomparably terrifying aura. It directly pierced through his long saber. Boom. His body was blasted apart. The surrounding people were also stunned. Hair to the heavens. Even Lin Xian was surprised. In the end, a smile appeared on his face. This was because he realized that the one who had attacked was none other than Chao Tianxing. He had seen how mysterious Chao Tianxing was, so he knew that Chao Tianxing was very strong. As expected, the other party had severely injured a half-step holy king the moment he attacked. How could this be? Jinka was completely dumbfounded. He could still accept the shock of being defeated by Lin Xian. After all, every world had a top genius who could defy the heavens. However, such a person was too rare. In fact, there might not even be one in a few thousand years. However, he did not expect that apart from Lin Xian, another person had appeared. He was severely injured with a single punch. Damn it, who are you? Who are you? Jingyun was also scared to tears. He roared crazily, stop fighting, we admit defeat. What a joke. How could he have reached such a stage? If they continued to fight, the two of them would definitely die. Therefore, they let out a roar. After Ling Hu Chuexiue and the others heard this, they stopped and sneered. You want to admit defeat now? What were you doing earlier? Fu Hongye slapped Jingyun's face and sent him flying. On the other side, Jinka gritted his teeth and said, Brother, let's go. As he spoke, he turned around and wanted to leave with Jingyun. However, Lin Xian smirked coldly. The Taiji diagram in the sky descended, blocking their path. You think you can come and go as you please? Do you think this is your family? Here, we have the final say. Who allowed you to leave? Come and die. The Tai Chi diagram sent down countless sword chi. The terrifying aura swept through everything. Jingyun and Jinyun were forced back. When they came back, they gritted their teeth. Jinka said, We are from the Jing family. Do you dare to attack us? If you kill us, our family will send top experts here. None of you will be able to live then. So stop fighting and let us leave. Is your family very powerful? If that's the case, we can get more powerful experts if we let you go back. Why don't we just kill you? The dark red divine dragon sneered. The toad also nodded and said, It would be a pity to kill them. Let's treat them as battle servants. Or refine them into puppets. I know a way to turn them into puppets. This way, we can use them in the future. This idea is not bad. Lin Xian also nodded. The others also sneered. The expressions of the Jingyun brothers changed, especially Jinka. He was furious. Do you want to die? How dare you be arrogant in front of me? Lin Xian sneered and formed a seal with his palm. The mountain-embracing seal descended again and suppressed the other party. The other party's body exploded once again. Everyone laughed. Was the buried emperor star very powerful? It was only SOSO. However, at this moment, a light appeared in Jinka's eyes. His body suddenly split open. One of the figures instantly rushed out and left the mountain-embracing seal. Then he charged forward. In the next moment, he arrived at a dragon. In front of him, a long saber in his hand enveloped the other party. Oh no, damn it, how dare you attack? The dark red divine dragon roared. Lin Xian's face also sank. A trace of biting cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. It seems that you really don't know what's good for you. Get lost or I'll kill her. Jinka roared crazily. The person he shrouded was none other than Shen Jingqiu. Therefore Lin Xian and the others were very nervous. Lin Xian's killing intent was biting cold. How dare you attack my people? I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. Brat, is this your person? Good, if you dare to touch me, I'll send you to hell. Now kneel down obediently and break your own arms. I want you to kowtow to me. I want you to crawl under my feet. Jinka's sinister voice rang out. Everyone's expressions became ugly. They didn't expect that the other party would have such a secret technique that allowed them to escape when they were suppressed by the divine mountain. They even threatened Shen Jingqiu. At this moment, Shen Jingqiu snorted coldly. An extremely terrifying aura erupted from her eyes. A heaven and earth dharma form appeared behind her. It was extremely mysterious. A monstrous power surged. Then, it directly sent Jinka flying with a palm strike. Jinka retreated in the air and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His eyes were about to pop out. How could it be? He was defeated by a third person today. Damn it, how could there be so many terrifying experts in this world? The surrounding people were also stunned. Is Shen Jingqiu also so powerful? She's simply too heaven-defying. What's the heaven and earth dharma form behind her? Lin Xian's eyes shone with a sharp light. The crisis was gone. He was now in front of Jinka. He stepped on him and stomped him into the ground. Then he shot out a dragon-shaped sword chi and pierced through Jinka's body, nailing him to the ground. Jinka roared crazily. Blood flowed out. He wanted to escape. However, the power of the great dragon sword soul was not something he could resist. Chapter 44:21. Jinka's previous actions had thoroughly angered Lin Xian. Lin Xian said coldly, "Originally, I thought that I would give you a way out. However, you actually acted recklessly and attacked the people around me. Dragons have reverse scales and you have already touched my reverse scales. Therefore, you will definitely die today." Hearing this, the expressions of the surrounding people changed. Lin Xian is going to attack the people of the buried Emperor Star? Even Linghu Chuexiue and the others had grave expressions. To be honest, they would not hesitate to heavily injure Jingyun. However, they did not dare to kill these two people. After all, they all had a trace of reverence and fear towards the buried Emperor Star. You dare? Jingyun roared crazily. Lin Xian sneered. Why would I not dare? After saying that, he slapped out with his palm. With a boom, Jinka's body was shattered. In the next moment, he used his heavenly secret divine eyes and pulled Jinka's soul into the Tao reincarnation. He made Jinka suffer for 10,000 years. Jingyun did the same. Finally, Lin Xian used the light of reincarnation and killed the two of them. The surrounding people were all stunned. They did not expect that Lin Xian would really kill these two people. These two brothers probably did not believe that the other party would dare to attack them even when they died. The reason why Lin Xian killed these two people was because he was completely enraged. Moreover, his final killing move was the light of reincarnation. The light of reincarnation was something he had absorbed from the reincarnation protectors. His heavenly secret divine eyes could actually fuse with the light of reincarnation. At this moment, he used the light of reincarnation to kill these people. Presumably, these families would not be able to detect him. After killing these two people, Lin Xian once again raised his head and looked at the sky. Jingyun and Jinka were nothing to be afraid of. The most important thing was the battle between the sacred kings, because it concerned whether or not they could go to the buried Emperor Star. This kind of battle was going on in the outer realm. Terrifying power enveloped them. Lin Xian and the others were shocked. It had to be said that the two of them were really too strong. Especially that reincarnation protector. He was fighting a group of Saint Kings alone. And he was actually not at a disadvantage at all. The light of reincarnation was even more terrifying. Once it was unleashed, no one dared to resist and could only flee. There were only two people who could contend against the light of reincarnation. It was Black Mountain and Undying Scholar. He Shan had many tricks up his sleeve. Although he couldn't fight against the light of reincarnation, he wasn't afraid of it either. Immortal Scholar, on the other hand, could use Immortal Frost. Only the inextinguishable polar ice was able to resist the light of samsara. However, he could only resist for a short period of time. He wouldn't be able to contend against it for a long time. After all, reincarnation was too mysterious. And the light of reincarnation was even more terrifying. In the end, the reincarnation protector was completely infuriated. A bunch of reckless fools. Today, I'll send you on your way. As he roared, the sealed reincarnation valley once again appeared. Next, the reincarnation valley shone brightly, and a pagoda appeared from within. 6 paths of reincarnation pagoda. A terrifying aura appeared. It released an unparalleled aura. Furthermore, it was connected to the reincarnation protector, allowing the reincarnation protector to control an even more powerful reincarnation power. Today, all of you will enter the reincarnation land. An illusion of the reincarnation pagoda appeared between heaven and earth. 6 extremely terrifying passageways seemed to swallow everything. Oh no! Songhai Saint King's pupils constricted. His body was pierced by the light of reincarnation, and instantly split open. In the next moment, he let out a terrified cry. On the other side, Liyue Saint King's body was also shattered and turned into a bloody mist. Their faces became deathly pale. Buzz. Seeing that these people were about to enter the reincarnation valley, Lin Xian's pupils also constricted. The surrounding people were even more shocked. Lin Xian unleashed the great dragon sword soul and flew into the sky. After the Saint Kings saw the Tao, they desperately activated and used their power. The great dragon sword soul released an unparalleled aura and slashed into the void. It slashed apart the reincarnation aura. Songhai Saint King and Liyue Saint King frantically retreated. They all heaved a sigh of relief. It was too terrifying. They had almost been sucked into the reincarnation land. Once they entered, they would probably die without a doubt even if they were Saint Kings. How could it be? It could actually block the 6 paths of reincarnation pagoda. Reincarnation was stunned as he looked at the dragon-shaped sword in the sky. On the other side, Spirit Saint King's pupils also constricted. Could it be that kind of thing in the legends? There were very few who could fight against the 6 paths of reincarnation. This sword shadow was clearly not a saint artifact, so it was even rarer. After thinking for a while, they thought of a legend. The Great Dragon Sword. The legendary offensive saint technique that could destroy everything. It was understandable that the reincarnation pagoda could be slashed apart. They didn't expect to see the legendary thing here. The reincarnation protector's eyes released an extremely cold light. Kid, looks like I have to kill you this time. It's a waste to leave this thing with you. Lin Xian snorted coldly and shot into the sky. Morong Qingqing and the others were also not worried. Although they should have the Great Sage Pagoda, would it be safe in the place where so many Saint Kings were fighting? They didn't know and weren't confident. Lin Xian came. He used the Great Sage Pagoda to protect his body. Everyone, let's attack together. He controlled the Great Dragon Sword Soul, and also felt the pressure. However, this battle had to go on. At the same time, he had another thought. He was not afraid of the reincarnation light. Whether it was Black Mountain or Immortal Scholar, although they could fight against the reincarnation light, they couldn't. After all, they couldn't suppress the reincarnation light. However, Lin Xian was confident that he could do it. Therefore, this was also the reason why he came. "Ant, die for me." The reincarnation protector punched out, and Lin Xian felt a huge pressure. He used the Great Sage Pagoda to block, but his divine body was still shattered. However, in the next moment, his body quickly healed. At the same time he roared. If they didn't attack now, what were they waiting for? The other Saint Kings also took a deep breath. They were going to fight. These people attacked again. The 6 paths of reincarnation in the sky sealed the entire world and enveloped them. The terrifying power of reincarnation could threaten them at any time. As expected, even the Kunlun Saint King and Wushuang Saint King's bodies were shattered. They turned into a bloody mist. However, Lin Xian used the great dragon sword in time and destroyed the power of reincarnation. Only then did he save these people. These Saint Kings calmed down a little and attacked even more crazily. The reincarnation protector's face turned cold. Saint King Spirit Word's face was also ugly. His body had been shattered twice. Fortunately, the other party didn't kill him. This allowed him to survive. However, he was still shocked. He said that the kid could fight against the 6 paths of reincarnation. They had to kill him first, otherwise, they would lose their advantage. The reincarnation protector nodded. Naturally, he also knew this, so he attacked Lin Xian with all his strength. Lin Xian's divine body was shattered again. Even with the Great Sage Pagoda, he still couldn't escape. Chapter 44:22. An ant is an ant. Even if you have the Great Dragon Sword, you are still no match for me. The reincarnation protector revealed a cold smile. A person like you is not worthy of the Great Dragon Sword. You have the cheek to say that? Lin Xian also laughed. You are a late-stage Saint King, and I am a Saint Venerable. How big is the gap between us? You haven't killed me yet. Do you have the cheek to say that? Aren't you able to kill a Saint King with a glance? Why can't you kill me? You are courting death. The reincarnation protector was stunned. Indeed, it was easy for him to kill a Saint King. Now Lin Xian was still alive. This was a slap to his face. He did not plan to do this again. Therefore, he planned to gather and form the light of reincarnation to kill Lin Xian. 3 rays of light of reincarnation charged over. It was earth-shattering, sweeping through everything. Not good. The Kunlun Saint King, the Wuji Saint King, and the others were extremely nervous. Below, Morong Qingcheng, Ling Huchueshua, and the others also held their breaths. As for Lin Xian, he snorted and opened his heavenly secret divine eyes. He did not dodge at all. In an instant, he absorbed the 3 rays of light of reincarnation into his vision. The void where Lin Xian was completely turned into nothingness. It completely swallowed his figure. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they did not know whether Lin Xian was dead or alive. The reincarnation protector sneered. If you can survive, then I. Before he finished speaking, he saw Lin Xian walk out from inside. How is this possible? The reincarnation protector was shocked. What is going on with these eyes? Why are they so mysterious? Lin Xian said, I will be responsible for blocking his light of reincarnation. All of you attack. The battle broke out again. This time, Wu Yu finally lost his advantage. He was being attacked by so many Saint Kings. He roared crazily. There was also the immortal scholar and Black Mountain. Finally, he was injured and his body was penetrated. He was hit by dozens of laws and one of his arms was torn off. Blood flowed. He roared at the sky. The 6 paths of reincarnation in the sky kept surging. Lin Xian used the Great Dragon Sword Soul to block the attack. Then he fused with the power of those Saint Kings. The sword slashed forward. The 6 paths of reincarnation were actually cleaved apart by him. The reincarnation protector was also split in half by the sword. This scene was really too shocking. Yanling Saint King was dumbfounded and stood there in a daze. The reincarnation protector also roared towards the sky. Damn it, you guys have thoroughly angered me. Even if I have to sacrifice 3,000 years of my lifespan, I will kill all of you today. After he finished speaking, the nomological laws around his body began to burn. It seemed like he was about to go all out. At the same time, the reincarnation pagoda flew out from the reincarnation valley and landed in his hand. Then he charged forward. Not good. The expressions of those Saint Kings changed. This was a heaven-shaking treasure. If Lin Xian was a sage king, then controlling the Great Dragon Sword would not be a problem. But now Lin Xian was only a Saint Venerate. It was already very impressive that he could split open the 6 paths of reincarnation. However, he was probably no match for the reincarnation protector who was going all out. As expected, Lin Xian also suffered a huge blow. He had already used the great dragon sword soul, and had reached his limit. If he used it again, his body would probably shatter. At this critical moment, a figure flew out from the void. It was an elder. The moment he appeared, he formed a heavenly sound and descended. 9 tribulations divine melody. A terrifying aura filled the air. The terrifying nomological laws formed one after another special musical notes, and blocked the terrifying reincarnation pagoda. What was going on? Yanling Saint King was horrified. The reincarnation protector's pupils constricted. He had already burned 3,000 years of his life, and was prepared to fight to the death with the other party, to kill these Saint Kings. But now he was actually being suppressed. Who was it? In the next moment, he suddenly looked up and saw an elder appear in the sky. It was him. The reincarnation protector exclaimed. Yanling Saint King was also stunned. He had seen this person before. Previously, he had seen this person at the primordial grotto grand meet. Peerless Saint King and the others took a deep breath. Lin Xian exclaimed. Elder Xia. That's right. The person who had come was Xia Jiuyo. When he arrived, an extremely cold light burst out from his eyes. Reincarnation protector, you've crossed the line. How dare you teach me a lesson? Go to hell. The reincarnation protector roared. Today, everyone would be completely annihilated. He continued to burn his nomological laws and life. He activated the reincarnation pagoda, and charged out. Everyone was worried for Xia Jiuyo. Even Lin Xian was no exception. However, Xia Jiuyo sighed. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. In the next moment, a cold light burst out from his eyes. Heaven and earth shook. An extremely terrifying aura appeared in front of him. An illusory figure appeared. It was a Guqin. With a mysterious aura, it appeared in front of Xia Jiuyo. Then, Xia Jiuyo gently played the Guqin. With a boom, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The reincarnation pagoda shattered into pieces. The reincarnation protector also exploded, and turned into a bloody mist. Saint King Yanling also suffered from the impact, and his body shattered. The surrounding people were stunned. Heavens, what did they just see? They had so many Saint Kings attacking together, but they couldn't hurt the reincarnation protector. Now Xia Jiuyo actually took care of it with a gentle move. This was really unbelievable. What kind of existence was this Xia Jiuyo? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He naturally knew that Xia Jiuyo was very powerful. However, he was very worried about Xia Jiuyo's lifespan, because Xia Jiuyo was already very old. On the other side, He Shan's eyes flickered. Could it be him? He thought of a person in the legends. In front of him, the bloody mist gathered under the reincarnation pagoda, and formed the reincarnation protector again. At this moment, the reincarnation protector's face was filled with fear. He no longer had the arrogance from before. He stared at Xia Jiuyo and said, "Who are you? Could it be that you are?" Just as he finished speaking, Xia Jiuyo played another Guqin sound. His body shattered again. Damn it! He was so frightened that he didn't dare to be arrogant anymore. Run. He brought Saint King Yanling and quickly fled downwards. He wanted to enter the reincarnation valley. In the end, Xia Jiuyo cut off his path with the sound of the great Tao of heaven and earth. He could only escape to the other side. Saint King Yanling said, "Let's go to the origin ancient mine. It's definitely safe there." The two of them fled into the distance. On the other side, Xia Jiuyo snorted coldly. Want to leave? He strolled between heaven and earth and followed. It was the same for the other Saint Kings. Lin Xian and the other young disciples also followed. At this moment, everyone raised their heads and looked towards the sky. They felt two extremely powerful forces with the aura of reincarnation streaking across the sky. Behind them, there was an old man who was like a god strolling in the courtyard. Origin ancient mine. This was a land of death. No one dared to come. However, at this moment, Saint King Yanling had come. Not only that, the reincarnation protector had also come. After the two of them entered, Saint King Yanling's cold voice sounded. So what if you're strong? I don't believe you dare to come in. As expected, Xia Jiuyo played two heavenly sounds, but they were blocked by the power inside. They couldn't enter the origin ancient mine at all. Seeing this scene, Spirit Saint King Yinling laughed loudly. Chapter 44-23. Unparalleled Sacred King. And the others walked over with a frown. What should they do? The aura of this place was extraordinary. Damn it, they had almost killed Sacred King Yinling and subdued the Reincarnation Protector. But now the Reincarnation Protector had gone into hiding. There was nothing they could do. If they missed this opportunity, they would have to wait another 500 years for the buried Emperor Star's seal to open again. Thus everyone was in despair. Lin Xian's expression was grave. Although he had the great dragon sword soul, it was impossible for him to conquer the primordium ancient mine with his current strength. Thus there was nothing he could do. He looked at Heishan. Heishan also shook his head. At that moment, Xia Juyo coughed out a mouthful of blood. He sighed and said, "Let me do it." Then he looked at the Jade Lake. He asked the Jade Lake's sacred leader if he could borrow an imperial armament. The pupils of the Jade Lake's Saint Master contracted when she heard this, and the surrounding people were stunned. What did he mean? He wanted to use the ancient desolate tower? Even Lin Xian was shocked. His great dragon sword soul was also powerful, but only he could use it. If Xia Juyo wanted to use it, he would have to give the power to him. But he could not withstand so much power. It seemed that Xia Juyo wanted to borrow an imperial armament. However, everyone was confused. Could Xia Juyo use an imperial armament? One had to know that even a sacred ground would have to pay a great price to use an imperial armament. But senior, your body. The Jade Lake sacred leader was also worried. Lin Xian also walked over and said, "Senior, why don't we think of another way?" However, Xia Juyo shook his head. "I'm already old. It doesn't matter if I live a few more years. However, I want to help you with something before I die." This reincarnation protector was too arrogant. Also, did they really think that the primordium ancient mine was invincible? Today, I'll let them know that no one can look down on others in this world. After saying that, he left with the Jade Lake sacred leader. Everyone was waiting anxiously. In the next instant, they felt a deep voice coming from the eastern wilderness. The sky of the eastern wilderness was completely shattered. An extremely terrifying aura spread out in all directions. At this moment, all the sacred grounds and family clans in the true spirit world raised their heads, their faces filled with fear. What kind of aura was that? How could it be so terrifying? Heavens, could it be that this is the aura of an extreme weapon? Was the dark battle from back then happening again? One had to know that extreme Dao weapons were generally capable of suppressing an entire region. He wouldn't use it. However, at that moment, someone was actually planning to use an extreme-grade weapon. Furthermore, it would appear that he was not only using the might of an extreme-grade weapon. He wanted to take away the extreme-grade weapon completely. Sure enough, people from the Gu and Yi families were equally shocked. Their extreme weapons also let out earth-shaking noises, as if they were responding. The eyes of the members of the Yi clan flickered. Naturally, they had also received the news. Were they going to attack the origin ancient mine? The person sleeping inside was not ordinary at all. After thinking about it, the Yi clan decided not to make a move. On the other side, the eyes of the Gu family flickered. Gu Feng snorted coldly. Did these people really want to attack? An elder of the Gu family walked over and said in a deep voice, "Feng, or you must not underestimate them." That Xia Juyo was an extremely terrifying figure. If it wasn't for the fact that he didn't have much lifespan left, he would definitely be able to sweep through everything. Now that he was going to consume his lifespan and use an extreme-grade weapon, would the people in the origin ancient mine be able to withstand it? After Gu Feng heard that, he was also stunned. He was powerful, but the people in the Deathland should not be ordinary either. Could it be that they couldn't defeat Xia Juyo? At that moment, another elder also walked out. If he was really so terrifying, he would have long unified the world. There were also restrictions on them inside. Even their lifespan was not as long as they had imagined. Therefore, as for whether they could truly counterattack, it was still unknown. Let's wait and see. While everyone was discussing, Xia Juyo brought the desolate tower over. The heavens fell and the earth cracked. At that moment, He once again became the only one between heaven and earth. In an instant, he arrived at the Origin Ancient Mine. The void and earth around the Origin Ancient Mine were constantly shattering. Only the land of death in front of them emitted a terrifying aura to resist the attack. At the same time, Spirit Saint King, who was in the Origin Ancient Mine, knelt on the ground in fear. The Reincarnation Protector beside him also used the Reincarnation Pagoda to resist with difficulty. However, he still couldn't resist it. In the next moment, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it, an extreme-grade weapon. He could actually control an extreme-grade weapon. This really shocked him. Even the existences in the divine crystals began to shake. There was an elder who looked like a skeleton. At that moment he opened his eyes. His gaze seemed to have turned into a peerless divine sword that pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. What was going on? Why did it attract the aura of an extreme-grade weapon? In an instant he received the news from Spirit Saint King. At the same time, outside the Origin Ancient Mine, Xia Juyo brought the desolate tower with him like a god. He said coldly, "The people inside, I'll give you one last chance. Do you want to fight or do you want to agree to our request? I'll only give you half an incense stick's worth of time to consider." Damn it! Damn it! The Reincarnation Protector roared. Spirit Saint King also said, "Ancestor, they've gone too far. How dare they behave so atrociously in our territory? Do you want to?" Before he could finish his words, he was sent flying with a slap. "Trash, who allowed you to target our Origin Ancient Mine with such great emperor power? I've just recovered my power and haven't recovered yet. Do you think I have a long lifespan? Stupid thing. You don't have the right to live anymore. No. Ancestor, please spare me. I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again." Spirit Saint King Yanling was thoroughly terrified. He thought that their ancestor would fight the other party head-on. Who would have thought that their ancestor would actually admit defeat? The Reincarnation Protector's face was also cold. He said, "Don't worry, Senior. If you attack this time, I'll definitely contact the people of the buried Emperor Star and get them to provide you with all kinds of natural treasures." However, after he finished speaking, he felt a gaze that seemed to be piercing through him. "You're just a little sacred king. What right do you have to be arrogant in front of me? How dare you speak while standing? If it wasn't for the person behind you, you would have died 10,000 times by now," the elder said coldly. Then he waved his hand and directly sealed the 2 of them and threw them out. In the next moment, everyone saw 2 figures fly out and kneel in the air. Then a voice sounded from the Primordium Ancient Mine. "I don't want to fight with you. I also hope that you won't use your imperial weapon. Everything that happened before had nothing to do with me. It was all that idiot Spirit Saint King's own actions. Now I'll kill him and let you all calm down." After saying that, a power shot out and directly enveloped Spirit Saint King. In the end, Spirit Saint King turned into a bloody mist. His soul was destroyed. Even his soul didn't escape. Everyone was horrified. Oh my god. This Primordium Ancient Mine was too terrifying. One had to know that Spirit Saint King, was a sacred king. He could fight several ordinary sacred kings alone. They couldn't beat him. But now the other party could kill such an existence with a beam of light. It seemed that the other party's strength was definitely at the level of a sacred king. It had even reached an unimaginable level. No wonder this place was called the Land of Death. The voice sounded again. "As for the Reincarnation Protector, I won't care. You can do whatever you want with him." After saying that, the Primordium Ancient Mine was sealed. The Reincarnation Protector's face turned ugly. Damn it, he had been abandoned by someone. In the next moment, when he felt the power of the weapon in the sky, he almost fainted. Although he had the Reincarnation Pagoda, he couldn't fight against an extreme weapon. So he quickly said, "Stop, I agree to your conditions." Chapter 44-24. What a joke. If he didn't lower his head, the other party's imperial weapon would be unleashed. He couldn't block it. Probably no one would be able to stop him. Therefore, he could only beg for mercy. "Very well, then you can open the Reincarnation Valley. I'll only give you half a day." After saying that, the Reincarnation Protector quickly left. He wanted to reopen the Reincarnation Valley. At the same time, Xia Juyo looked around and said coldly. Since he had already taken out the imperial weapon, he had to let it unleash some of its power. After saying that, he formed a seal with his palm and slammed it forward. Huang Huang unleashed countless extreme Dao might. It flew in all directions. At this moment, countless experts in the world were torn apart. There were even sage kings that died. Everyone was terrified. They thought that it was the end of the world. However, Lin Xian and the others knew that this was killing the mortal realm. Xia Juyo was attacking the experts of the mortal realm. Sure enough, those who died were all experts of the mortal realm. However, he only killed sage kings and sage venerables. This was enough. It was definitely a heavy blow to the mortal realm. Sure enough, the remaining people also went into hiding. They probably wouldn't come out of the mortal realm for the next few thousand years. As for Xia Juyo, he returned the imperial weapon to the Jade Lake sacred ground. He returned to the divine palace by himself. Everyone was worried and followed him. When they saw Xia Juyo in the divine palace, their pupils shrank. It was the same for Lin Xian, whose face had turned extremely ugly, because the current Xia Juyo was hundreds of years older than before. It was as if he had one foot in the grave. Old Xia. Lin Xian's heart ached. He knew that Xia Juyo was burning his life force to unleash the imperial weapon in order to help them. He couldn't repay this kindness. Every sage king released their power, wanting to help Xia Juyo maintain it. However, Xia Juyo said that it was useless. The heavenly Dao reincarnation was gone. Someone could escape. Alright, all of you can leave. Go and make your final preparations. The buried emperor star might not be simple. There might be new dangers. I can no longer help you. The sage kings nodded and bowed respectfully to Xia Juyo. Senior, we will remember this in our hearts. Then they quickly left, leaving only Lin Xian behind. Lin Xian took out many spirit medicines and rare treasures, and placed them there. Xia Juyo said, I know you are worried, but my lifespan is almost up. These things are useless. Now, I have something to pass on to you. That is the supreme technique that I created in my lifetime, the 9 Tribulations Divine Melody. Lin Xian shook his head. No, Elder Xia, you're already very weak. It was better for him to rest quickly. By the way, Elder Xia, I have something for you as well. I hope it will be helpful to you. Since these natural treasures were useless, Lin Xian decided to think of another way. After all, Xia Juyo had given him the sacred palace and provided him with great assistance. In fact, he even wanted to impart his lifelong knowledge to him. Lin Xian was unable to return the favor. He said, Senior, I once obtained a treasure by chance called the Eye of Time. I think he might be useful to you. Xia Juyo was stunned when he heard this. The Eye of Time? I didn't expect you to be so lucky. Have you heard of it? Xia Juyo nodded. Lin Xian gave the Eye of Time to Xia Juyo. Xia Juyo gave the 9 Tribulations Divine Melody to Lin Xian and said, This 9 Tribulations Divine Melody is the cultivation technique that I created in my lifetime. If I really die, help me pass on this cultivation technique. No one could live forever. Everyone would die. However, he could use another method to live. For example, they could pass on their peerless cultivation technique. Xia Juyo's life's supreme technique was the 9 Tribulations Divine Melody. It was very terrifying. A single immortal sound could split the reincarnation protector. One could imagine how terrifying it was. After Lin Xian received it, his expression turned solemn. Senior, don't worry. I will not disgrace your supreme technique. You may encounter new dangers after entering Tibetan Earth Star. I will now help you activate the prelude of the Divine Melody and help you establish your foundation. Next, you will have to rely on yourself. Xia Juyo attacked. Endless sounds of the great Tao appeared around him, as if it had turned into a world of immortals. It enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt a wondrous aura. It was as if the surrounding great Tao had become simple. He could obtain it at any time. This was truly too shocking. It was as if he had entered a very wondrous realm. After an unknown amount of time, the sounds of the great Tao in the surroundings slowly disappeared. As for Xia Juyo, he vomited a few more mouthfuls of blood, making him look even older. Lin Xian said, Old Xia, you can't use your strength anymore. Xia Juyo said, I'm really old. I have already helped you establish the foundation of the divine melody. When you reach buried Emperor Star, go find someone called Wentian. He can help you. Wentian? Lin Xian was surprised. Who is this person? Xia Juyo said. It's a little fellow I saved back then. I don't know how much he has grown. Alright, go quickly. The reincarnation valley should have already opened. Lin Xian nodded solemnly. Then he personally opened the divine crystal and sealed Xia Juyo. Then he left. After leaving, he asked He Shan if there was any way to help Xia Juyo. He Shan thought for a moment and said, his lifespan is reaching its end. It's a normal cycle of death. Under normal circumstances, there was no way to save him. Of course, there were other methods. For example, the undying divine medicine. That thing could allow great emperors to live a second life. Others could naturally do the same. However, it was truly too rare. Only great emperors or extremely terrifying existences could possess it. Others simply couldn't obtain it. Or perhaps, you can only find some extremely old medicines to maintain his life. However, that wasn't a solution. What if a remnant soul like you was resurrected? Lin Xian asked. He knew that under normal circumstances, He Shan should have died. However, he had used a peculiar method to come back alive. He Shan said, it's too difficult. Furthermore, it's a 90% chance of survival. It's purely a coincidence that I was able to come back alive. Furthermore, I can't be considered to have truly come back alive. That's because I'm not completely dead. My remnant soul is still a soul. Indeed, He Shan's situation was different from Xia Juyo's. Lin Xian thought for a moment and then said, if I have the power of time, I can reverse the flow of time. Then, can I help Xia Juyo recover? Lin Xian still had a few eyes of time. Those were all life-saving means. He could be resurrected after death. He Shan nodded and said, in theory, yes. However, it depends on how strong your power of time is. Generally, the power of time was very mysterious. Those who could master it were even rarer. If you didn't master it well, it would be useless. If you want to resurrect Xia Juyo, you have to find an expert with the power of time. Otherwise, it would be useless. It could only prolong his lifespan. There was no fundamental change. There were only a few possibilities for him to have a fundamental change. First, his cultivation base would break through and his lifespan would increase. It seemed that this step was impossible for him. Second, the undying divine medicine could allow him to live a second life. It was also very difficult. Of course, there are two other possibilities. The first is the power of time that you mentioned. Find a strong enough power of time to continue. Chapter 44-25. Lin Xian took a deep breath after hearing that. Each of these things was very difficult, but he decided to find them and help Xia Juyo. Alright, let's go. Perhaps the buried Emperor Star has all these things. Lin Xian took a deep breath and left with the others. When they arrived at the Reincarnation Valley, they found that it had opened again. The Reincarnation Protector stood there and said with a cold expression, you can go in. He kept forming seals with his palms. The Reincarnation Pagoda in front of him bloomed with light, forming the 6 paths of reincarnation. Countless talismans appeared in the surroundings. It seemed that he was breaking the seal. Soon he said, yes. Peerless Sage King and the others said, let's go. Other than Lin Xian and the others, some of the Sage Kings also wanted to go. Logically speaking, the Reincarnation Protector would definitely stop them. However, he did not dare to do so now. If he really angered the Emperor Soldier, even 100 lives would not be enough. Moreover, did these people really think that they could be free after reaching the buried Emperor Star? He sneered in his heart. Only then would these people know what despair was. There were still some Sage Kings who stayed here. Since most of the mortal world had been destroyed, there should not be much danger in the second astral realm. Therefore, they did not leave with them. As for those who left, they wanted to see what kind of god the buried Emperor Star was. Moreover, they might also want to pursue a higher path of cultivation. Just like that, the group walked into the Reincarnation Pagoda. The universe was upside down and the sun and moon rotated. After an unknown period of time, they finally felt that the situation had stabilized. Next, they walked out. After coming out, they found that they were in a valley. It was similar to the Reincarnation Valley. Could it be that they had already arrived at the buried Emperor Star? These people looked around in all directions. Lin Xian also carefully sensed. In the next moment he felt the aura here. Indeed, the true spirit world was vaster. There were even many kinds of extremely terrifying pressure. It came from different directions. It gave people an illusory feeling, like an extreme weapon. It should be the place where the emperor had fallen. Let's go. The group walked over. Suddenly, Peerless Sage King frowned. Wait. Kunlun Sage King also said that something was wrong. There seemed to be the aura of other Sage Kings around. Damn it. Could there be someone waiting for us? From the looks of it, it wasn't good news. Everyone be careful. We're not familiar with this place, so we can't be careless. Lin Xian and the others nodded and carefully flew forward. You're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. At this moment, a cold voice came from the front. Upon hearing this, Lin Xian, Peerless Holy King, and the others stopped what they were doing. They looked ahead and their faces turned cold. Suddenly, a Saint King walked over from the front. The other party's aura was incredibly horrifying. Various great Daos interweaved under his feet. He was like the Divine King. He stood there with a cold smile on his face. Come with us. Where to? Kunlun Holy King frowned. That Sage King coldly snorted. Now that you've arrived at the buried Emperor Star, you'll naturally have to follow us to the heavenly paradise. What's wrong? Are you guys unwilling? Their faces were cold and gloomy. Lin Xian's eyes flickered with a golden radiance as he looked around. Then he said coldly, if I follow you to the heavenly paradise, do I need to set up an inescapable trap? There were at least 3 peerless formations around them. The moment he said that, the others' faces changed. 3 formations? What were these people trying to do? Were they trying to defeat them all? The Sage King looked at Lin Xian. Brat, I didn't expect that a mere sacred venerate like you would be able to see through the formations. You've really surprised me. As expected of people who were able to come to the buried Emperor Star, they were indeed people with top-notch talent. If people like you are properly nurtured, you might become good puppets. Hearing the word puppets, everyone exclaimed. A genius from the 7-star pavilion said, Puppets? Aren't you going to take us in as disciples? Ha ha ha. At this moment, the Sage King in front sneered. With just you guys? You guys are indeed talented to be able to come here. However, there are so many geniuses in the buried Emperor Star. Does our heavenly paradise lack geniuses? At most, you guys will become our battle servants and puppets. Damn it. Damn it. These people's faces became unsightly. They had gone through untold hardships to come to the buried Emperor Star. They did not expect to be treated like this. One had to know that they were the most dazzling existences in the second astral realm and the true spirit world. However, in this place they could only become puppets. What a joke. The dark red divine dragon coldly snorted. What if we don't agree? If we don't agree, we'll die. The Sage King roared and waved his hand. Instantly, more than 10 figures appeared around him. They were all Sage Kings. There were even more sacred venerates in the distance. They blotted out the sky and covered the earth. How could there be so many people? The limitless Sage King and the others' faces became unsightly. How could they fight? The peerless Sage King took a deep breath. Do you guys want to be puppets? If you don't want to, we can only fight with our backs against the wall. Everyone, we've already come this far. We won't admit defeat here, right? The other Sage Kings said. Naturally, they would not. Their eyes also burst out with a piercing cold light. All right, let's fight. The Kunlun Sage King also walked out and looked at Heishan. Fellow Daoist, please break the formation. We'll lead our people to fight against these Sage Kings. As for the other disciples, they would take the opportunity to leave quickly. Soon, everyone came up with a plan. Heishan formed hand seals and began to attack the 3 great formations. His attainments in formations were terrifying. Therefore, no one was worried. The Saint Kings roared angrily and walked forward. As for Lin Xian and the others, they were preparing to break out of the encirclement and escape. A bunch of ants actually want to fight against us? You guys don't know what's good for you. In front, the sage kings of the buried emperor star sneered. Then the leader waved his hand. The others also rushed over. A terrifying battle between sage kings erupted once again. In an instant, a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Lin Xian and the others moved quickly. They also quickly flew in all directions. The sacred venerates in the distance charged over. Do you guys want to leave? These were all peak sacred venerates. Their strength was extremely terrifying. In their opinion, they were the people of the buried emperor star, and these were people who had just arrived. No matter how terrifying they were in other worlds, when they came to their world, they would be easily suppressed. But soon they realized that they were wrong. Two old men came to Lin Xian's side and said coldly, "Stop. Little brat, stop. You seem to know a lot about formations, so I can let you live." However, Lin Xian punched out. That old man shouted angrily, "You're courting death." He also attacked forcefully, wanting to suppress Lin Xian. In an instant he collided with the man ruler seal. Then there was a cracking sound. His body was torn apart. How is this possible? He was stunned. His soul wanted to escape. In the end, he was instantly suppressed by the Taiji diagram, and his soul was destroyed. His other companion was also dumbfounded. Didn't this guy come from another backward world? How could he be so powerful? He was able to suppress the experts of the buried emperor star. Damn it, he has a treasure on him. The old man roared and took out a sage artifact. It was a sage saber. It bloomed with radiance and slashed down. It caused the world to change. As for Lin Xian, he sneered and struck out with the mountain-embracing seal. It descended from the sky and turned the old man into nothingness. After easily dealing with these two people, Lin Xian and the others continued forward. It was the same in other places. For example, Chao Tiansheng, Murong Qingcheng, Shen Jingqiu, Ling Hu Chuexue, and the others all displayed extremely powerful strength. Chapter 44-26. Of course, not everyone was as powerful as Lin Xian, who was able to kill the experts of the buried emperor star. In fact, the experts of the buried emperor star were very terrifying. Most people could not resist them. They could only join hands. However, there were many people on the buried emperor star. Thus a huge battle broke out. Soon people died. The battle on the sacred king's side was the same. Soon a sacred king was injured. The 7-star sacred king was injured and his body was torn apart. On the other side, the peerless sacred king was also sent flying while vomiting blood. Master! Ling Hu Chuexue and the others' eyes turned red. Lin Xian's pupils also shrank. The peerless sacred king had been poisoned by the despair poison. Although he was suppressed by the extreme Dao might, he was not in his peak state. Thus he was injured in the battle. Don't come over. Leave quickly. The peerless sacred king and the others roared. They attacked even more crazily. Let's go. Lin Xian and the others roared. They gritted their teeth and attacked quickly. The peerless sacred king and the others gave them an opportunity. They could not give up. But this time around there were simply too many people on the buried emperor star. It was a heavenly network. Therefore, in the end these people were scattered. Lin Xian, Murong Qingcheng, Shen Jingqiu and the others also separated. He was attacked from all directions. He roared towards the sky and a terrifying power swept through everything. However, he was unable to meet up with the others. Big brother Xian, don't worry. Let's leave this place and meet up later. Murong Qingcheng transmitted her voice. Shen Jingqiu also nodded. They all had their own trump cards and secret techniques. Thus they were not worried. Lin Xian was the same. Since that was the case, they would charge out first. Ka. Under He Shan's attack, cracks finally appeared on the 3 supreme arrays. Quickly leave. Countless people rushed in all directions. As for the experts of the buried emperor star, they coldly snorted. You want to escape in front of us? With just you? They roared and used the heaven-encompassing earth technique to chase after them. Everyone was fleeing, but soon, some of them were caught. Some were directly suppressed, and some were even directly killed. His astral soul was destroyed, and his blood dyed the 9 heavens red. Lin Xian did not leave immediately. Originally, he wanted to leave, but he saw that peerless Holy King's situation was very bad. Previously, Peerless Sage King had the help of Wuxia Sage King and Kunlun Sage King. But in the end, these two Saint Kings were also surrounded by the powerhouses and could only fight for themselves. With that, Peerless Saint King's situation became even worse. Suchen activated the Void Escape and appeared near Peerless Sage King. He used the Great Sage Pagoda to block the attack for him. Then he quickly left with Peerless Holy King. Junior brother, hurry up and leave. I can still hold on. Peerless Sacred King gritted his teeth as he unleashed the Law of Devour. Lin Xian shook his head and walked with him. As he spoke, he controlled the dragon-shaped sword Qi and tore through the void. A Saint King led a team and chased after them. In his opinion, Peerless Saint King was severely injured. Lin Xian was not a Saint King. Therefore, one Saint King was enough for him. Moreover, he had brought a powerful team with him. There were 2 half-step kings and 5 peak Saint Venerables among them. It could be said that they were extremely powerful. Those 2 would definitely not be able to escape. He followed them all the way. This guy actually knew the space mystique. The Saint King was shocked. He realized that Lin Xian appeared and disappeared mysteriously. Every time he tore through the void, he would escape. This greatly surprised him. The space mystique was extremely rare. Finally, they came to an uninhabited mountain range. The 2 landed and heaved a sigh of relief. Great, they should be able to escape from them. Peerless Saint King's face was pale. It was obvious that he could no longer suppress the despair poison. He no longer used his strength, but used his extreme Dao danger to suppress it. At the same time, he wondered how the others were doing. How many would be able to escape in the end? Indeed, Lin Xian was also worried. Apart from a few elite powerhouses, those with trump cards like him would be able to escape. The others would probably be suppressed. Probably not many Saint Kings would be able to escape. Still worried about others? You should worry about yourselves first. At this moment, a cold voice rang out. Lin Xian and Peerless Saint King's pupils shrank. Were they discovered? They suddenly raised their heads and saw the Saint King in the sky, who was wearing battle armor, walking in the air and laughing coldly. There were a few figures following behind him, and they also had cold smiles on their faces. They formed a tight encirclement and surrounded Lin Xian and Peerless Saint King. Be obedient and be captured quickly. You can't escape. Damn it, if I didn't have the poison, how could I let him be so arrogant? Peerless Saint King gritted his teeth. Indeed, although this person from the buried Emperor Star was powerful, he was not to be trifled with. It was just that the despair poison in his body prevented him from using his full strength. Was he going to use his trump card? Lin Xian's face darkened, and there was a terrifying aura in his eyes. However, when he used his heavenly secret divine eyes to look around, he frowned. This was because he discovered that there were other people around. Even if he could kill this Saint King, in that case, would he be able to kill the others? How many times could he use the great dragon sword soul? Therefore he said, I'll go with you. However, let my senior brother go. You want me to let a Saint King go? What a joke. The Saint King in the sky sneered. Also, who do you think you are? How dare you make a request in front of me? I'm a top genius from another world. If I join you, I'll be of great use to you. Moreover, I'm proficient in formations. I'll be of great help to you. If you don't plan to let one of them go, I won't go with you. Once he said that, those people laughed. Kid, aren't you overestimating yourself? So what if you're a genius? Do you think we lack geniuses? When Lin Xian heard that, he was not angry. He looked at one of the half-step Saint Kings and waved his hand. Come over. Do you want to die? That half-step Saint King was instantly enraged. This kid was provoking them. What a joke. His opponent was just a Saint Venerable. However, the Saint King in the armor said, Go ahead and fight him. Don't hold back. If he can't block your attack, then he's a piece of trash. It's not a pity even if he dies. Yes. The half-step Saint King nodded. Then he sneered. Kid, you're courting death. Don't blame me. He walked out. The power of his body kept surging. The others all sneered. To them, this was a battle without any suspense. However, Lin Xian disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he was already in front of his opponent. This scene caused everyone to be shocked. Spatial superpower. His opponent actually knew such a technique. The half-step Saint King was also stunned. Then he sneered. Useless kid. You can't even break through my defense. Go to hell. He slapped out. Indeed, he did not hold back this time. A half-step Saint King could defeat any Saint Venerable. However, Lin Xian's man-ruler seal directly slapped his opponent's arm after he came out. With a crack, his opponent's arm turned into a bloody mist. He flew backward. Chapter 44-27. The buried emperor's men were stunned. A half-step Holy King was severely injured just like that. Lin Xian retracted his palm and laughed coldly. What a piece of trash. You can't even block one of my attacks. Then he looked at the war armor Holy King and said coldly, what do you think? Am I valuable now? The war armor Holy King stopped laughing. He was really shocked. How could there be such a powerful expert in other worlds? Even in the buried emperor's world, this person would be a dazzling existence. He had fought with someone who was a few levels higher than him, and even won. Such a genius was rare. If he could bring such a person back to the grotto heaven, it would be a great contribution. So he nodded. This kid is arrogant. But you do have the right to be arrogant. Very well, I agree to your conditions. Let him go. Holy King. The surrounding people exclaimed. The war armor Holy King snorted. What? You dare to go against my words? The others felt their scalps go numb. They shook their heads. They did not dare to go against the Holy King. The war armor Holy King said indifferently. This person obviously could not use his full strength. It meant that he was severely injured. Such a person would not be able to recover. Even if he was alive, he would not be a threat to us. I can exchange him for a peerless genius. Don't you think it's a good deal? After saying that, he stared at the unparalleled Holy King and sneered. I can let you go. But this saint artifact of yours will be mine. Then he grabbed the unparalleled Holy Sword. The unparalleled Holy King's face darkened. How could he let his weapon be taken away? So he tried to block it. However, he was too severely injured. He could not block it. In an instant, his unparalleled Holy Sword was grabbed. Then the person slapped unparalleled Holy King's body and sent him flying. His laughter reverberated in the air. Lin Xian's eyes instantly turned red as an extremely cold killing intent surfaced in his eyes. But soon it disappeared. He knew that it was not the right time. He quickly transmitted a message. Senior brother, you should leave first and recover. Don't worry about me. They won't kill me. Also, I will avenge you today. I will not let this person go. I will make him regret what he did today. Lin Xian was completely enraged. He took a deep breath and asked the people in front of him, how should I address you? I am the Star Holy King. The war armor Holy King said indifferently. Then he stared at Lin Xian and smiled. Lin Xian said, Star Saint King, right? What you did to my senior brother today. In the future, I will pay you back 100 times over. Holy King of the Holy Kings is. Did this guy not want to live anymore? Sacred King Xingchen was also taken aback before he burst into laughter. Brat, you are very courageous. You actually dared to release your killing intent towards me. But the Holy King was not worried. Although Lin Xian's talent was very strong, so what? People from other worlds were like puppets in their grotto heaven. No matter how strong they were, they would never be able to do anything to them. Therefore he was not worried at all. Come with me. The Holy Star Monarch waved his hand and unleashed a sky full of starlight that enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian did not resist. Since he had decided to go back with the Holy King, he would not go back on his words. Moreover, he wanted to go back and stay by this person's side. He swore that he would personally deal with this person, and it would not take long. Junior brother. In the distant void, the peerless Holy King gritted his teeth when he saw this scene. Damn it. He did not expect to come to the buried Emperor Star in such a situation. He could only leave and recover from his injuries before going back. A vortex appeared in the Devour Law and enveloped his body. Then he disappeared. As for the other Holy Kings, some died, some were captured, and only a few managed to escape. It was the same for the young disciples. However, Lin Xian did not know any of this. Lin Xian was enveloped by the endless stars. After an unknown amount of time, Finally, he felt it stop. These people quickly descended. Then, the stars on his body turned into seals that enveloped his body. To prevent him from escaping, Lin Xian had no intention of escaping. He looked around curiously. This was the legendary Grotto Heaven. The so-called Grotto Heaven was actually a sect. It was just that the name was different. After Lin Xian arrived, he also knew why this sect was called a Grotto Heaven. Because there was a cave in front of him that looked very simple and unadorned. However, when he entered the cave, it was a completely different world. It was as if it was a new world, incomparably vast. Endless mountains and rivers, all kinds of spiritual veins and spiritual springs intertwined. So this was a Grotto Heaven. Lin Xian felt that there were many holy king auras here. Clearly, the martial Tao in this place was much stronger than the true spirit world and the second astral realm. Because in the second astral realm, the Holy King was the Lord of the Holy City, an existence that swept through heaven and earth. But it seemed that here, they were only at the elder level. I wonder what kind of existence is at the top here? Is it the Great Sage or above the Great Sage? Greetings, Elder Xing Chun. Along the way, many people looked at Elder Xing Chun and quickly bowed. Although there were many holy kings here, they were not cabbages. Those who could become holy kings were at least at the elder level. As they bowed and greeted, they looked at Lin Xian curiously. Could it be that this was the newly recruited puppet? Holy King Xingchen said to the people behind him. Alright, you guys go and inquire about how the rest are doing. Leave this kid to me. Follow me. Holy King Xingchen said to Lin Xian. Lin Xian followed the other party into the Grotto Heaven. Along the way, they passed through many formations and finally arrived. In a mountain range, there was a lake in front of them. Holy King Xingchen walked over and said respectfully to the lake, I seek an audience with Elder Shueiyue. As his voice fell, after a while, the lake in front of them slowly split open. It formed a passage. Holy King Xingchen led Lin Xian inside. After entering, the lake on both sides closed again. Lin Xian went to the bottom of the lake and found that there was indeed a different world inside. At the same time, he felt a terrifying aura in front of him. Obviously, the Holy King inside was very terrifying. That aura didn't feel weaker than the reincarnation protector. Could it be a late-stage Holy King? As expected, Sacred Star Monarch was also very respectful as he stepped forward. He went forward and greeted Elder Shueiyue. In front, a woman turned her head. It was a middle-aged woman wearing a blue Taoist robe. Chapter 44:28. Was this person the puppet this time? Why was he alone? Where were the others? Elder Shueiyue, this time the people from the other world were very strong. They actually broke the formation and escaped. We split up and suppressed them. I suppressed them. This person is very extraordinary. Although he is only a mid-stage Saint Venerable, he injured a half-step Saint King with his own strength. Oh. Elder Shueiyue was also stunned after hearing this. Then a cold light appeared in her eyes. You said he was a peerless genius? That's right. Saint King Xingchen nodded. Elder Shueiyue said, I have to test it myself. As he spoke, a ray of moonlight appeared in his eyes. It slashed over like a heavenly blade. This power was suppressed to the strength of a half-step Saint King. Obviously, she wanted to test Lin Xian's strength. Was it that strong? Lin Xian used the man-ruler seal and directly charged over, shattering the ray of moonlight. He did not hold back because he knew that if he wanted to survive in such a place, he had to show great talent and strength. As expected, Elder Shueiyue's eyes lit up. He was indeed a top genius. Xingchen, you did well this time. When the time comes, you will definitely be rewarded. Saint King Xingchen smiled. Thank you, Elder Shueiyue. Elder Shueiyue nodded. I will use the life and death curse on him now. Then Saint King Xingchen left, leaving only Lin Xian. Elder Shueiyue in front of him kept forming seals with her palms. An extremely terrifying aura spread out. It formed a very mysterious rune in her hand, and then floated in the lake water. She caught it with a bowl and said, Drink it. Life and death curse. Just by hearing the name, it seemed to be able to control the life and death of others. Su Chen took a deep breath. This was the method that the other party used to control him. After receiving it, he drank it. The next moment, he felt that the rune was quickly working in his body. It was like his soul imprint. able to make others submit to him in their souls. What a terrifying method. Okay, you stay here for 3 days. Wait for the life and death curse to merge with you before you leave. Lin Xian nodded and sat down cross-legged. It seemed like he was waiting for the fusion. At the same time, he quickly mobilized the great dragon sword soul in his body to destroy the power of the life and death curse. He used his full strength because he only had 3 days to do so. After 3 days, it would be even more troublesome to kill them. The power of the great dragon sword spirit was indeed very strong. In 3 days, the power of the life and death curse was destroyed. As for Lin Xian, just in case, he used the great dragon sword soul to create a fake life and death curse, to prevent the other party from probing. 3 days later, he stood up and respectfully greeted Elder Shueiyue. Elder Shueiyue nodded. Very well, you can go. In the future, pledge your loyalty to us. Thousand Mountain Grotto, I will help you become a Saint King as soon as possible. He did not have the slightest doubt, because in his opinion, even a Saint King of the same level would not be able to undo his life and death curse, let alone a Saint Venerable. No one had ever been able to escape the control of the life and death curse, which was why he didn't investigate. But little did he know that Lin Xian was an exception. Lin Xian was the successor of the Great Dragon. Lin Xian turned around and walked out, leaving the bottom of the lake completely. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile, but he quickly returned to normal. His expression became cold. Next, someone brought Lin Xian away. He temporarily settled down. He waited for the mission. During this time, Lin Xian also learned that this grotto was called Thousand Mountain Grotto. It was one of the overlords of this area. This area was very vast, and there were a total of 6 grotto heavens. Thousand Mountain Grotto was one of them, but where exactly was this buried Emperor Star? What were the top sects on the buried Emperor Star? Lin Xian didn't know any of this. However, he believed that the longer he stayed, the more he would know. He just didn't know which holy city was connected to Thousand Mountain Grotto and the second astral realm. Also, were these grotto heavens related to the human realm? Lin Xian was also very curious. After that, Lin Xian received the order to go and cultivate. Hence, he followed the order. The Thousand Mountain Grotto was very vast, and it could even be said that it was a world. Therefore, there were all kinds of cultivation resources. This time, he went to a valley to cultivate. In the valley, there were pavilions, terraces, and pavilions. Obviously, there were many spirit veins below. There were even dragon veins. One had to admit that the resources on the buried Emperor Star were really good. No wonder there were so many experts and geniuses here. Before entering the valley, Lin Xian felt many terrifying auras coming from inside. There were even people. Obviously, he wasn't the only one cultivating here. Kid, go on in. The person leading the way was a young man. At this moment, he said impatiently. Lin Xian ignored him and walked in. Seeing Lin Xian's attitude, the young man sneered. He really didn't know what was good for him. Did he think that he was a high and mighty genius from another world? Here, he was just an ant in the mud. Just wait. Soon, this kid would know the meaning of despair. He didn't leave. Instead, he stood there and watched the show. Sure enough, when Lin Xian entered the valley, countless gazes in the valley turned to look at him. Then, they looked at Lin Xian, and their eyes shone with a cold light. Lin Xian also looked over and found that there were many people here. Moreover, they were all young and their auras were very powerful. They were all Saint Venerables, and many of them were peak Saint Venerables. Wait. Just as Lin Xian wanted to continue walking in and find a place to cultivate, a cold voice sounded. Lin Xian stopped and looked over with a frown. Soon he saw someone walk over and block his path. Kid, I haven't seen you before. Are you new? Lin Xian nodded. That person was stunned. You really are new. Which world are you from? In the true spirit world, Lin Xian said indifferently. Hearing this, the others were also shocked. The person who blocked Lin Xian's path was also stunned. The true spirit world was not an ordinary place. But soon he smiled. Since Lin Xian was new, he would do things according to the rules and hand over the things. What things? Lin Xian frowned. That person sneered. Of course it's the things in your storage ring. It's your first day here, and you haven't brought anything to show your filial piety to us. Show your filial piety? Lin Xian's face darkened. Who do you think you are? Is there such a rule in the Thousand Mountain Grotto? Lin Xian was completely angry. That man was also angry. Kid, you're very arrogant. Is it so great to come from the true spirit world? So what if you're a top genius in the true spirit world? You've been cursed here, right? Then you're a battle servant, a puppet. You're the most inferior existence. Everyone is the same. What right do you have to be arrogant in front of me? Chapter 44:29. This man gave off a terrifying aura. He was a late-stage holy venerate. At this moment he wanted to show his strength to Lin Xian. The others also looked like they were watching a show. After Lin Xian heard that, he frowned. Everyone was the same? That meant that these people were also combat servants? Xiaochen originally thought that they were disciples of the Thousand Mountain Paradise. He did not expect them to be people from other worlds that were forced to suppress them. There were already so many combat servants. Furthermore, they were so strong. This Thousand Mountain Paradise was truly horrifying. However, if the other party wanted to show his strength, he probably found the wrong person. Xiaochen said coldly, "Scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Rude? Let's see how rude you are going to be. That man also became angry. Countless terrifying flames appeared on his body as if they wanted to burn the 9 heavens. Although they were combat servants and were cursed with life and death, they could not control themselves. However, aside from being controlled by the people of the Thousand Mountain Paradise, they were like ordinary people. They also had their own conflicts. Hence, this person wanted to make a move at this moment. Lin Xian looked at the other party and said coldly, "Since you don't know the difference between life and death, I'll fulfill your wish." As Xiaochen spoke, he threw a palm strike. "You are seeking death." That person also threw a punch over. The surrounding people sneered. Lin Xian, a middle-stage holy venerate, wanted to challenge a late-stage holy venerate? What a joke. The people here were all geniuses who could fight above their cultivation level. This newcomer was probably going to be unlucky. However, the result surprised them. This was because they discovered that Lin Xian was not injured at all after that attack. As for the man from before, he exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Frenzied roars could be heard. The expressions of the surrounding people changed. Damn. It's even an expert. Immediately, 2 people walked over, not knowing the immensity of heaven and earth. Both of them were late-stage holy venerates. When the 2 of them worked together, their strength was even more terrifying. However, Lin Xian exploded both of them with one punch. Bloody mist spread out as horrifying roars rang out. The person outside the valley was stunned. Originally, he wanted to see how Lin Xian would be unlucky. However, he did not see it. He did not expect Lin Xian to be so powerful. At the same time, he saw 6 or 7 figures standing up around him. They all walked towards Lin Xian. These guys couldn't be thinking of attacking, right? If they really fought, the entire valley would probably be destroyed. He quickly took out the token and transmitted his voice. 6 figures walked out and said coldly, "Kid, you're too arrogant. It seems that you are very strong. But can you resist the 6 of us attacking at the same time? Today, I'll let you know what rules are." The 6 of them were emitting terrifying auras. However, at this moment, a cold snort was heard. "Everyone stop." Hearing this voice, the 6 people's faces changed. The other people in the valley also took a deep breath. None of them dared to speak. He even lowered his head. Lin Xian turned around and saw 2 figures walking out of the valley. One of them was the man who had brought him here earlier. However, there was a woman standing before him. She was wearing green clothes. His aura was similarly very strong, reaching the level of a late-stage holy venerate. However, when the people inside saw her, it was like a mouse seeing a cat. They were very afraid. This surprised Lin Xian. He guessed that this woman should be a true disciple of the Thousand Mountain Grotto. Her identity was not ordinary. Sure enough, after the woman walked over, she said coldly, "Who allowed you to fight here? Each of the 9 of you will be struck by 1,000,000 lightning bolts." The moment she said that, the expressions of those people changed. The 2 people who were injured by Lin Xian earlier also turned pale. They hurriedly begged for mercy. "Fairy Qingqing, please spare us. We won't dare to do it again." They were all late-stage holy venerates. and their cultivation was not weaker than the other party. However, they were battle servants, and the other party was a disciple. The difference was too great. In front of the other party, they had no chance of resisting at all. Fairy Qingqing snorted coldly. Now you know how to be afraid. Why didn't you do it earlier? Get ready to accept it. As he said that, he waved his hand, and a bracelet flew out and enlarged in the sky. Immediately, millions of lightning bolts struck down, enveloping Lin Xian and the others. As for the others, they didn't dare to resist at all. They could only endure it silently. Lin Xian frowned. He waved his hand and directly sent the lightning bolts flying. Seeing this scene, the people in the valley were stunned. They were about to go crazy. This guy actually dared to rebel against him? Did he know his current identity? The woman was also stunned. She instantly frowned. Do you want to die? Who is this person? The young man next to her was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. Fairy, this person is a newcomer who just came in. A newcomer dared to be so arrogant. Was he not under the control of the life and death curse? How was that possible? He had already taken the life and death curse. After taking the life and death curse, he still dared to resist? She once again sent millions of lightning bolts towards Lin Xian, but they were all sent flying by Lin Xian. Everyone was stunned. Lin Xian said coldly, although I took the life and death curse, I only listened to Elder Shueiyu's orders. You attacked me for no reason, so don't blame me for being impolite. You. Qingqing was so angry that her face turned pale. She couldn't help but want to attack. However, at this moment, the young man next to her seemed to have thought of something and said, this person was brought here by the sacred ruler of the stars. He said that he was a little special. Perhaps there was something special about him. Who knows? After Fairy Qingqing heard this, she snorted coldly. Is that so? Then I'll first find out what's so special about him. If not, I'll make him suffer a fate worse than death. As she said that, she put away the thunder bracelet and turned to leave. After she left, the people in the valley heaved a sigh of relief. Then they looked at Lin Xian with strange expressions. The 6 people from before didn't dare to attack again. Instead, they respectfully invited Lin Xian in. After all, they were puppets. This was the first person who dared to use this identity to fight against a real disciple and come out unscathed. Therefore, the people in the valley were in awe of Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't stand on ceremony. He directly chose the best place to cultivate, sat down cross-legged, and began to absorb. The power here was cultivating. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. In this month, Lin Xian's cultivation also steadily improved. On this day, the sacred ruler of the stars personally came to the valley. Everyone in the valley became nervous again. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at the other party. A hint of cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. However, it soon disappeared. The sacred ruler of the stars looked at Lin Xian and said, Kid, come with me. I have a mission for you. Hearing this, Lin Xian rose into the air and flew forward. At the same time, the sacred ruler of the stars found another person. That young man also left. Chapter 44:30. Very soon, they arrived at a place. It was a plaza, and there were already many people gathered there. Some of them were like them, wearing battle armor. They seemed to be puppets. Some of them were wearing Taoist robes and had arrogant looks on their faces. Clearly, these were the true disciples. There were a total of 5 true disciples. As for puppets like Lin Xian, there were 20 of them. They seemed to be there to protect him. Very soon, a young man among the 5 took the lead. They soared into the sky and rode on a huge flying sword, flying into the distance. Their purpose this time was very simple. These people from the Thousand Mountain Paradise were going to participate in an auction. Lin Xian and the others were in charge of protecting them. He discovered that these people were all experts. Other than him, who was a middle-stage Saint Venerate, half of the others were late-stage Saint Venerates. There were even some peak Saint Venerates. Among them, there were actually 2 half-step Saint Kings. This lineup could be said to be extremely powerful. This flying sword was very huge, like a huge dragon. There were actually many palaces on it. At this moment, the 5 disciples were sitting inside, resting. As for Lin Xian and the others, they were standing outside, defending. Lin Xian stood there, silently circulating his laws and cultivating. His only goal now was to break through to the Saint King realm as soon as possible. Or rather, he had to reach the Saint King realm. Only then would he have the ability to protect himself on the buried Emperor star. It's you again. At this moment, a voice came from behind. Following that, a woman walked over. Lin Xian turned his head and saw that it was the woman from before. She was called Fairy Qingqing. Lin Xian saw her and silently nodded his head. Then he expressionlessly turned his head. Fairy Qingqing clenched her teeth in anger. This guy was too arrogant. Did he really think that she wouldn't dare to attack him? At this moment, a figure walked over and said, "Junior sister, what's going on?" This person was also wearing battle armor. However, his battle armor was blue, while Lin Xian's puppet's battle armor was black. The armored man was also stunned when he saw Lin Xian. In the next moment, an extremely cold light burst out from his eyes. "It's you." Man Lin Xian also looked at him and frowned. It was actually him. This person was the one who had followed Jing Yun in the true spirit world. Back then, he had forcefully defeated him. Who would have thought that the other party was from the Thousand Mountain Cave? Was Jing Yun from the Thousand Mountain Cave? It seemed that he had to be more careful in the future. Senior brother Mo, do you know him? Qing was also surprised. Mo Feng's face turned incomparably ugly. How could she not recognize him? He had fought with the other party before, and had even been injured by the other party. He wanted nothing more than to kill the other party. Of course, he couldn't say anything about this. Otherwise, he would be thoroughly embarrassed in front of his junior sister. Therefore he said, "When I went to the true spirit world to train, I saw this kid. I didn't expect him to be captured by our paradise. It really surprised me. Brat, see how I'll torture you to death once you fall into my hands." As he spoke, he slapped towards Lin Xian. The surrounding puppets' faces changed. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly and also slapped out. It hit Mo Feng's face and sent him flying. The surrounding puppets were stunned. Oh my god, this guy dared to attack. The person who came with Lin Xian in the valley was also shocked. Lin Xian was truly a ferocious person. Fairy Qingqing was also stunned. Oh my god, this guy is too arrogant. However, when did his senior brother become so weak? Damn brat, you dare to attack me? Kneel down. Mo Feng roared crazily. He couldn't defeat the other party, but the other party was now a puppet, and he was the master. The other party had to submit to him. However, Lin Xian stood there unmoved. His eyes were emitting a cold light. Damn it, what's going on? Wasn't he under the life and death curse? Mo Feng was also stunned. The noise here alarmed the people inside. Soon 3 figures walked out. The leader was a very handsome man. He frowned and asked, "What's going on?" "Senior brother Qi, this brat dared to attack me." Fairy Qingqing said it out loud. The man frowned and looked at Mo Feng. His expression changed. "You were injured by him?" Mo Feng's expression changed. It was too embarrassing. He gritted his teeth and said, "I was careless. I didn't expect him to dare to fight back." Senior brother Qi nodded and looked at Lin Xian. "A puppet actually dared to attack us. Don't you know that we're your masters? You have to submit to us if we ask you to?" Lin Xian stood there and said coldly, "I only submit to Elder Shueiyue. Moreover, I received orders from her to protect your safety. However, this doesn't mean that I can be suppressed by you at will. Previously, this person attacked me for no reason, and even wanted to torture me. I naturally won't let him have his way." When these words came out, these people all frowned. It was the first time they had seen such an arrogant battle servant. Lin Xian said coldly, "If you don't accept or are dissatisfied with the orders I received, then go to Elder Shueiyue. Then let's go find Elder Shueiyue and see what she has to say." Hearing the name Elder Shueiyue, these people's expressions changed, and their scalps went numb. They didn't dare to provoke such an existence. Lin Xian sneered in his heart. His guess was right. This Elder Shueiyue was an extremely extraordinary figure in the Thousand Mountain Cave. No one would dare to provoke her. Fairy Qingqing also said, "Senior brother, this brat is very strange. It is said that he was brought here by the Star Sage King alone. He seems to be a top genius. Perhaps he really received these orders." Senior brother Qi nodded. A top genius? All right, I'll let this matter go for now. However, you'd better not make any more moves. Otherwise, I don't mind killing you directly. At the end of his words, an extremely terrifying killing intent bloomed in his eyes. Lin Xian was completely fine with this. If these people didn't attack him, he couldn't be bothered. If these people wanted to attack him again, he didn't mind teaching them a deep lesson. The surrounding battle servants were also surprised. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be so bold. Next, it became very quiet. The huge flying sword flew all the way and finally landed in a city. This was a huge city. It was very wide and one couldn't see the end of it at a glance. It was like an immemorial beast. After landing inside, Lin Xian and the others felt that there were many experts in this city. There were even the auras of sage kings. In addition, there were many young geniuses. There were also powerful martial artists. Obviously, this should be the place of the auction. The 5 people in front walked on their own. The man in the lead was called Senior Brother Qi. In addition to him, there were 2 men and 2 women. Senior Brother Qi said, "Perhaps the people of the other grotto heavens will also sell what we want." Chapter 44:31. Qingquan Auction. The scene was very lively. After Lin Xian and the others entered, they found that it was a very spacious hall. There were many people inside, and there were even more experts. Senior Brother Qi and the others went directly to the best room with their identities from the Thousand Mountain Grotto. The furnishings inside were very exquisite, and there were also very precious ambergris. The fragrance emitted by this kind of perfume, after inhaling it into the body, would make people feel refreshed and their souls strengthened. Lin Xian felt it and nodded slightly. Indeed, this was a big show. As expected of the buried Emperor Star, there were a few windows in front, and they could clearly see the scene outside. Lin Xian looked over, and found that there were many other people besides them who had been invited to such a place. It seemed that these people had extraordinary identities as well. Lin Xian even felt the aura of a sage king. In front, the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto were whispering. Among them, Fairy Qingqing gritted her teeth and said, "I didn't expect the people from the Green Hill Grotto to be here too." Another person said, "I see that the people from the Vast Mountain Grotto are here too." Hearing these 2 names, Lin Xian was startled. He naturally knew these 2 names because he had participated in the grotto's test. He had even obtained the token of the Vast Mountain Grotto. However, he didn't have the chance at all. After he came, he was suppressed by these people. Therefore, it was impossible for him to go to the Vast Mountain Grotto now. Moreover, looking at the attitude of the Thousand Mountain Grotto, they treated people from other worlds as if they were fighting. If he went to other grotto heavens, it would be the same. After a while, the hall below quietened down. Rays of light shone in the sky, and a crystal platform appeared. Then a middle-aged man walked out. After seeing this middle-aged man, countless people exclaimed in surprise. It was actually the Great Elder. It seemed like there would be quite a lot of good stuff in this auction. Yes, for the Great Elder to be the host, it definitely wouldn't let them down. These people clenched their fists. Lin Xian also looked at the other party and was surprised. The middle-aged man below should be a Sage King. Moreover, judging from his aura, he was equivalent to Sage King Yanling, a middle-stage Sage King. It was such a waste for such a person to be the host of the auction. At the front, Mo Feng said, "The Great Elder had his own rules. When he took action, he would auction off 9 items. It seems that what we want is in one of the 9. Senior Brother Qi nodded in agreement. He had to get it this time. By now, the Great Elder had already made his move. He took out a treasure bottle from his storage ring. This was the lotus vase, an extremely rare saint artifact. He began to introduce the effects of the lotus Aquarius and used it on the spot. The people in the surroundings were astonished. This was indeed a treasure. Even Lin Xian nodded his head slightly. However, when he heard the price, he rolled his eyes. It was too expensive, almost twice as expensive as he had imagined. However, it was indeed a good item, although it was not the Sage King Wu Qi, but it can be said that the Sage Wang Wu it was the best under Qi. Indeed, even the eyes of the disciples of the paradise up ahead turned red. All of a sudden, many people began to bid. In the end, it was obtained by an old man. Next, the second item appeared. It was also a saint artifact. Countless people exclaimed again. The eyes of the surrounding battle servants also turned red. If they could obtain such a wu, their strength would increase. If that was the case, his strength would definitely increase exponentially. However, Lin Xian was very calm. Such a wu, although qi was good, it was nothing to him. After all, the items in his hands were all Sage Wang Wu. Qi, or the great Sage Wang Wu. Qi, of course, there were probably not many young people like him. The third item was an old medicine. It was very old, and it was cut out from a strange stone. Therefore, countless people exclaimed. Even Lin Xian was surprised. He also began to bid. As Lin Xian's voice fell, the surrounding people were stunned. The battle servants couldn't believe it. Even the people from the 5,000 mountain grottos ahead turned their heads. Among them, Mo Feng gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, who allowed you to bid?" Lin Xian glanced at him and sneered. "Why? Do you have a problem with that? As I said, my task is only to ensure your safety. Other than that, I'm afraid you can't restrict me." After saying that, he actually made another bid. This made Mo Feng vomit blood. The surrounding disciples of the Thousand Mountain Paradise gritted their teeth, so hard that they almost broke. They had never seen such an arrogant battle servant. It seemed that they had to find a chance to teach him a lesson. However, senior brother Qi did indeed say, "Okay, shut up." After saying that, his eyes shone with a piercing cold light as he looked down. It turned out that the third treasure had been bought, and the fourth item had appeared. As soon as it appeared, countless people exclaimed. Many people stood up in an instant. It was obvious. The item that came out. It was very extraordinary. Even Lin Xian's pupils constricted. A shocking light appeared in his eyes. 9 revolution flames fruit. It was a very precious spiritual medicine, and it was a fire attribute spiritual medicine. It was very rare. Lin Xian had passed through so many worlds and starry skies, but he had never seen it. He didn't expect to see it as soon as he arrived at the buried Emperor Star. 4 fire attribute sages. This thing was simply a supreme sacred medicine. This was especially true for Lin Xian, who was of great use to him, because this thing could increase the power of his 9 yang divine body. The others naturally knew the effect of this spiritual fruit, so they all widened their eyes. However, when they heard the price, many people sighed. Because the price at the beginning was already incomparable to that of a sage king. It was too weak. It was estimated that the final price would be even higher. For a moment, no one dared to bid. However, someone soon spoke. This time, the price was not measured in divine crystals but in dragon marrow. Therefore, the person who had just appeared directly shouted 1,000 dragon marrow. This surprised countless people. There were many experts and powerhouses here, so the price soon reached 2,000 dragon marrow. This shocked countless people again. Dragon marrow. How precious. It wasn't plain water, and every drop was incomparably precious. However, at this moment, these experts were taking it out one after another. One could imagine how precious the 9 revolution flames fruit was. 3,000 drops of dragon marrow. At this moment, a voice rang out and reverberated in the hall. Everyone was stunned. Directly adding 1,000 drops of dragon marrow? Who was this person? What a bold tone. The voice came from above. Countless people raised their heads and looked in that direction. Then they said that it should be someone from the Green Hill Grotto Heaven. Oh, the people from the Grotto Heaven were indeed powerful. 3,000 drops of dragon marrow in one go. Cries of surprise sounded one after another. On Lin Xian's side, the 5 disciples in front also exclaimed. It was someone from the Qingqiu Grotto Heaven. Qingqiu Grotto Heaven, huh? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Thinking of this, he thought of the Qingqiu clan. At the same time, he wondered how Qin Xianer was doing. Had she been suppressed or had she left? With Qin Xianer's identity as a member of the Qingqiu clan, she should be able to enter the Qingqiu Grotto Heaven. Of course, he didn't know any of this. At this moment, senior brother Qi also spoke. 3,500 drops of dragon marrow. Chapter 4432. Mo Feng naturally knew that a battle servant wouldn't have too many treasures, but Lin Xian's attitude really annoyed him. Just as he was about to make a move, a voice came from below. Someone had already started bidding. and the price quickly reached 10,000 drops of dragon marrow. Mo Feng was stunned. He abruptly turned his head and looked outside. Moreover, the price was still rising. Countless people were stunned. This was simply an astronomical figure for them. And the number of people competing in the end was very small. Only the people from Green Hill Grotto Heaven and Purple Spirit Shaking Sky were bidding. Of course, there was another person. It was a blue-robed man. He had a terrifying water-type power on him. At this moment, Fairy Qingqing gritted her teeth and said, "It's actually someone from the True Water Clan. I didn't expect them to be interested in this thing too. It seems that our situation is even worse. 15,000 dragon marrow and 2 top-notch sacred venerate weapons." The person from the True Water Clan said in a deep voice. His voice was filled with endless power. Then he looked at the sky. "Geniuses of the Grotto Heavens, if you can bid higher than this, I'll admit defeat this time." It was clear that these people could not continue indefinitely at this point. The person from Clear Autumn Grotto Heaven shook his head. The price was too high for them, so he smiled and said, "I can't afford this price either." Young Master Spirit Su from Purple Spirit Grotto Heaven smiled and said, "Oh, is that so? Then I'll bid 16,000 dragon marrow and 2 top-notch sacred venerate weapons." As soon as he said that, countless people were stunned. They didn't expect the other party to bid again. The expert from the True Water Clan's expression changed. The other party was only offering 1,000 dragon marrow more than him. Was this a challenge to him? However, he had already said that he wouldn't bid again, so he could only sit down with a gloomy expression. The scene became quiet for a moment. No one made a move. On the side of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven, everyone looked anxiously at Senior Brother Qi. Senior Brother Qi shook his head. He couldn't afford this price either. If he hadn't bought the 9 Revolution Flame Fruit, he might have been able to compete. However, at this moment he said, "Although I don't know who came from Purple Spirit Grotto Heaven this time, from the looks of it, this person is too arrogant." Moreover, he was very arrogant. Every time he bid, he would bid a little more than the others. It was as if he was slapping others in the face. "Previously, we snatched the treasure from his hands. Do you think someone like him will be willing to give up?" When the surrounding people heard this, they were also shocked. "Senior brother, are you saying that he will attack me? Are they here to snatch the 9 Revolution Blazing Fruits from us?" Senior Brother Qi nodded. It was very likely. "Since that's the case, we might as well not make a move. We'll wait for them to come knocking on our door. Since they don't follow the rules, then we'll snatch their map as well." The eyes of these people also shone with a sharp light. These geniuses had gone through hundreds of battles and gone through many missions. Therefore, this kind of battle and traps were not unfamiliar to them at all. The other battle servants took a deep breath. They were afraid that there would be a huge battle soon. On the other hand, Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. He was just thinking about how to get his hands on the 9 Revolution Inferno Fruit. Now it seemed like he had a chance. It was a good opportunity for him to reap the benefits of the battle between the two. In any case, he did not have a good impression of these Grotto Heavens. Not only did these Grotto Heavens suppress them, but these people who came from other worlds also injured his senior brother. Lin Xian had wanted to take revenge for a long time. Now, it seemed like this was an opportunity. It was time to take revenge. Sure enough, no one dared to fight with Sir Ling Su. The corners of Sir Ling Su's mouth also curled into a cold smile. He did not say a word and directly carried out the exchange. When he got the map in his hand, he heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he looked in the direction of the Thousand Mountain Grotto. He had said that no one could snatch the things he wanted from his hands. However, the treasure would be kept by the other party for a while. When the time came, he would personally snatch it from the other party's hands. However, the auction was not over for the time being. Next, there were 2 more items. These 2 items were also more precious, even surpassing that of ordinary sacred venerables. Only a sacred ruler would fight for these items. Sure enough, the next ones to bid were those sacred rulers. The price was even more terrifying than the mysterious map. Even the auras of sacred rulers were constantly spreading. After Lin Xian and the others saw it, they were also incomparably shocked. Finally, the auction came to an end. Everyone went out excitedly. They wanted to spread the news of this matter to all corners of the world. At the same time, the people from the Purple Spirit Grotto also took action. Sir Lingsu said, "Send people to keep an eye on them. They must not be allowed to escape." Soon these people disappeared into the void. Obviously, they had secretly begun to follow Lin Xian and the others. On the other side, the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto also left, but they did not leave the city. Instead, they found a courtyard and began to settle down. They also knew that there would be a big battle coming, so it was better to first tidy up their cultivation and condition to the peak before anything else. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. While these people were cultivating, he used the heavenly secret divine eye and looked around. Sure enough, he found 3 figures in the void. They were not far from them and were hiding. Ordinary souls really could not detect them. However, his heavenly secret divine eye could see through everything. Sure enough, they were following. Just nice. He hoped that when the battle started, he would be able to benefit from it. Lin Xian glanced at the other party, then withdrew his gaze, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. At the same time, the eyelids of the 3 people hidden in the void twitched. "Big brother, what happened just now? Why do I feel like someone discovered us?" One of them frowned. Another said, "It must be an illusion. I'm too nervous. How could anyone discover us? Look at those idiots below. They must not know that we're secretly observing them." The last person said, "That's for sure. How dare they offend the Purple Spirit Grotto? This time, we'll let them know what regret is." The 3 of them smiled silently. 3 days later, the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto opened their eyes and left quickly with Lin Xian and the others. They soared into the sky and left the city. At the same time, the 3 figures in the void disappeared instantly. They came to a big hall and knelt down on one knee. "Young master, they have already left. Big brother should be safe with them." In front, Sir Lingshu stood up with a smile on his face. "Very good, it's time for us to make our move." He waved his hand and tore open the void with the people beside him and disappeared. At the same time, a woman walked out from another pavilion. She had a mysterious aura around her. She held a round fan in her hand and gently waved it. She was from the Qingqiu cave, and was followed by some martial artists. "Senior sister, why aren't we leaving?" Someone was puzzled. Chapter 44-33. Alright, you guys stay here and cultivate. I'm going to watch a good show. The corners of Insu's mouth curled up into a smile. Although the disciples behind her were also very interested in this good show. However, since their senior sister had spoken, they could only obediently stay here. In the sky, a huge flying sword quickly streaked across, tearing apart the void, bringing with it endless aura. At the same time, a figure was silently following behind. At the same time, he had a formation in his hand, and it seemed like he was transmitting information at any time. At this moment, the flying sword in front of them stopped, and a few figures walked out from it. The person behind them also stopped and hid in the void. Could it be that he was discovered? Impossible, the other party shouldn't be able to see through his movement technique. He could only wait patiently. Not long after, a few extremely terrifying auras suddenly came from behind, followed by a thunderous voice. It came from all directions, sealing the entire world. "You guys are really stupid. You actually stopped after walking halfway. If you had flown a little longer, you might have been able to live a little longer." A sneer came from the sky. Sir Lingsu's figure walked out. "It's really you guys." The people from Thousand Mountain Grotto also snorted coldly. "We already knew that you guys wouldn't let this go. However, you guys actually dared to have ideas about our Thousand Mountain Grotto. You guys really don't know what's good for you. Is your Thousand Mountain Grotto very powerful? In front of me, you guys are just ants. Now hand over the 9 revolution blazing fruit obediently. I'm in a good mood and can give you a quick death. Is that so?" Senior brother also sneered. "Then hand over that mysterious map, and we can let bygones be bygones." Hearing this, Sir Lingsu's face completely sank. "So you guys actually have ideas about my map? You guys are really daring. Don't tell me you guys think you can snatch the map from my hands with just the few of you? You guys really don't know what's good for you. Kill them for me." With Sir Lingsu's order, the surrounding people also quickly moved. Their auras continued to erupt. The surrounding people were also wearing battle armor. It seemed that they were also battle servants. Sure enough, every grotto would take in a large number of geniuses from other worlds as battle servants. These battle servants were not weak. They were all geniuses. However, he was suppressed by an even more powerful Sage King. Now that they were attacking together, it was truly terrifying. The surrounding void tore apart rapidly. There was nothing that could stop it. On the side of the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven, the senior brother also roared angrily and attacked. Immediately, the battle servants in the surroundings moved out one after another. Lin Xian also made his move. However, he did not intend to use his full strength. In fact, he even wanted to change his identity and fight a battle. Of course, the precondition was to wait for the war to break out completely. Sure enough, the battle servants began to engage in a great battle. Soon after, the disciples of the two paradise began to fight as well. Terrifying nomological laws appeared on Mr. Spirit Su's body, forming a huge cauldron with a terrifying aura. Apart from that, the people behind him also began to move out. A great battle erupted in an instant. These people were all holy venerables, and many of them were late holy venerables. This young Master Ling Su and senior brother Qi were both peak holy venerates. It could be said that his strength was extremely terrifying. The two of them fought, shaking the heavens and the earth. The illusion of a huge mountain appeared behind senior brother, as if it wanted to suppress heaven and earth. A terrifying power erupted. The two's nomological laws clashed in the heavens and the earth. Immediately, a violent aura spread out in all directions. Mo Feng, Fairy Qingqing, and the others also quickly attacked. The battle was extremely terrifying. The entire world was completely destroyed. At the same time, a figure landed on a mountain peak in the distance. It was Insu. At this moment, after he arrived, he looked into the distance with a smile. He was not too late. It seemed that the battle had just begun. He wondered how the battle between the two sides would turn out. He was here to watch the show. Of course, if there was a chance, he did not mind taking action to obtain the mysterious map and the 9-turn flame fruit. Because of his strength, senior brother and young Master Ling Su were even stronger. They had reached the half-step Holy King realm. The battle ahead was very intense. It was difficult to determine the victor in a short time. As for the battle servants, they were all fighting with their lives. Both sides had suffered losses. On Lin Xian's side, not long after the battle began, 5 battle servants had fallen. On the other side, 4 had also fallen. The aura of blood mist spread between heaven and earth. Lin Xian's face was gloomy. As expected, these people did not treat the battle servants as humans. Because none of the disciples had fallen, and the battle servants were already red-eyed. But there was no choice. With the life and death curse, they could not control themselves. Humph. He snorted coldly and forced the enemy back with a punch. To be honest, it wasn't difficult for him to kill these battle servants with his strength. However, what identity did he want to use to attack these people? At this moment, in the sky, young Master Ling Su roared angrily. Damn it, I did not expect you to be so strong. I no longer have the patience to play with you. Today, I will send all of you to hell. Senior, do it. As his voice fell, a crack appeared in the void. Immediately after, a masked man walked out. This person had an extremely terrifying aura. As soon as he appeared, he slapped at senior brother. Senior brother instantly vomited blood and flew out. His expression turned ugly. Half-step Holy King. He gritted his teeth. Damn it, you actually brought a half-step Holy King. What kind of genius are you? Do you dare to fight me head-on? The two of us will fight to the death. Senior brother roared crazily. However, young Master Ling Su looked up to the sky and laughed. Did water enter your brain? I have such a great advantage. Why should I fight you one-on-one? Kill him. Buzz. The masked man waved his hand and extended it forward. Heaven and earth shattered, and endless black holes appeared. Senior brother instantly vomited blood and flew back. In a hurry, he struck out a huge mountain to block. It blocked this peerless attack. One had to admit that this senior brother was also a top genius. Even in the second astral realm, the true spirit world, he would probably sweep through everything. Only someone like Lin Xian could suppress the other party. People like Fu Hongya or Guan Songhai could not contend with such a person. But unfortunately, no matter how powerful senior brother was, he was still not enough when facing a half-step holy king. After all, the difference in cultivation between the two was there. And this masked man was even more powerful. After one attack, he struck out another shocking attack. Chapter 44-34. No. Seeing this scene, Fairy Qingqing, Mo Feng, and the others roared crazily. They did not expect that their senior brother would die like this. Damn it, retreat quickly. They were geniuses, but this guy, among the half-step Saint Kings, the man was probably an extremely powerful being. Moreover, the other party also had many battle servants and a terrifying existence like Sir Spirit Su. If they continued to fight, they would probably all die. Therefore, the 4 disciples of the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven quickly retreated. At the same time, they ordered the battle servants to stop them and buy time for them. The battle servants' expressions became extremely ugly, but at this moment, the life and death wrinkles in their bodies suddenly flared up. It was as if they were about to be killed. They did not dare to resist and hurriedly blocked. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian sighed. These grotto heavens were too cold and heartless. To be honest, these battle servants' talents were not inferior to Mo Feng and the others. After all, being able to kill their way to the buried Emperor Star from other worlds was enough to show their strength and talent. Unfortunately, they were being controlled by someone else. Now most of them would probably die. As expected. Mississippi. The handsome man's attack immediately turned 3 battle servants into a bloody mist. The other 2 also vomited blood. Sir Spirit Su ordered his battle servants to quickly charge over. Those battle servants combined with each other and formed a formation that froze the entire world. In front, Mo Feng and the others were also affected. The path was blocked again. Damn it! In an instant, a great battle broke out. At this moment, a large palm slapped over. Not only did it cover Lin Xian, but it also covered the 2 people beside Lin Xian. Good opportunity. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian's lips curled up into a smile. He directly used the void escape and disappeared. At the same time, a bloody mist filled the air. The 2 battle servants were also killed. Humph, a bunch of trash. Today, I will let you know despair. Sir Spirit Su smiled proudly when he saw this scene. He looked at Fairy Qingqing and the others in front of him, and a fiery light appeared in his eyes. In a moment he would let these people know his power. Mississippi. The middle-aged man continued to attack. At this moment, Lin Xian appeared in the distant void. He was enveloped by the void beast's skin. These people would not discover him at all. In the next moment, he was ready to attack. He did not plan to use his original laws and power, so he planned to use some mysterious methods. He had the great dragon sword soul, which could transform into anything. 1. He used the great dragon sword soul and the law of death to form an endless yellow spring that enveloped his body. A yellow spring's Tao diagram appeared. He had fought many battles with Acheron Hall, so he was very familiar with their mystiques and nomological laws. At this moment, when the great dragon sword soul was manifested, it was incomparably terrifying. These people would never think that it was him. Thinking of this, he made his move. On the other side, Insu was also surprised when she saw the half-step Saint King attack. It looked like the Violet Spirit Paradise was superior and was about to win. It seemed that he was about to make a move. If it was just a half-step Saint King, he had the confidence to fight. Perhaps he could not get the mysterious map, but he could get the 9-turn flame fruit. Her figure flashed as she prepared to move. But in the next moment he was stunned. Because the sky had cracked open, and the endless yellow spring fell. A figure descended like the god of death. Was someone coming again? Insu was stunned and did not act rashly. At the same time, the people fighting in front of him all looked up at the sky. The endless yellow spring filled the air, bringing with it a sinister power that made everyone's hair stand on end. Even Sir Lingxiu's pupils constricted. There was actually someone here. Who was it? How dare you attack me? We are from the Violet Spirit Paradise. If you don't want to die, hurry up and get lost. He roared angrily. However, there was no response from the sky. Only a yellow spring's Tao diagram flew over and destroyed everything. Sir Lingxiu screamed in fright. and hurriedly used the cauldron on his body to block. With a clang he was sent flying, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. Endless cracks appeared on his body. In the next moment he roared crazily, "Kill him, I want to tear him into pieces." Bang! When the man saw this, he snorted coldly and waved his hand. Immediately, 36 large flags flew out and froze the world. Those people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto heaven would definitely not be able to escape. Then he charged towards the yellow spring. "No matter who you are, you can't fight against me. As long as it wasn't a real sage ruler, the other party would definitely die." Bang! The man's strength was very terrifying. He appeared and disappeared like a ghost and instantly arrived in the yellow spring. The murderous aura around his body blocked everything. In the next moment he saw a figure inside. "It's you." He stretched out a large hand like a dragon's claw and grabbed over. Lin Xian smirked coldly and took out the spear of destruction. It was a single strike. Endless murderous intent surged between heaven and earth. Then bang! The man's pupils constricted. The aura of a sage ruler. He wanted to escape, but it was too late. The attack directly pierced through him. Boom! The entire heaven and earth were blown apart. Everyone was stunned, whether it was the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto heaven, or the Violet Spirit Grotto heaven. They looked up at the sky. Was a sage ruler coming? And in the distance, Phonim was even more so. She felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, he didn't attack. She didn't expect such a terrifying existence to appear. "Elder Lu, where are you?" Lord Lingxiu roared crazily. At this moment, Lin Xian said coldly in the sky, "Are you looking for it?" Then he threw down a Mississippi. It was that Mississippi. The man's Mississippi. Lord Lingxiu saw this scene, and was scared out of his wits. The other party was too strong. He actually killed a half-step sage ruler with one move. "Damn it, retreat. Do you want to leave? The yellow spring will be destroyed." Lin Xian sneered. The terrifying yellow spring surged and enveloped all these people. How could these people from the Xiling Grotto heaven resist it? They were instantly swallowed up and robbed of their vitality. Even their souls were destroyed. Lord Lingxiu roared crazily. There was still an illusion of a large cauldron circling around him. But at this moment, it was dim. He said, "No. You can't kill me. Do you know who I am? My father is the core elder of the Xiling Grotto heaven. If you kill me, you will die without a doubt." But before he could finish, he was penetrated by a blow. Boom! The illusion of the large cauldron shattered. His soul was destroyed. Kill! The remaining battle servants charged over crazily. They were already controlled, so now that their master was destroyed, they naturally wouldn't leave safely. They could only kill the enemy. Lin Xian sighed. He hoped that in the next life, they wouldn't be controlled. After speaking, he attacked forcefully. He gave these people a blow and let them reincarnate happily. Were they all destroyed? The people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto heaven were stunned. One had to know that they were almost killed before, but now the enemy was all destroyed. Great, they were saved. At this moment, Mo Feng's pupils shrank. He saw that in the bloody mist, countless storage rings flew over. They were all taken by the figure in the yellow spring. This shocked him. After all, the mysterious map was in there. Of course, he didn't dare to say anything. Lin Xian took the map from the storage ring and put it away. Chapter 44-35. The people from Thousand Mountain Grotto heaven were shocked. They felt a chill down their spines. That aura was too terrifying. Could it be that the other party wanted to attack them? Thinking of this, they quickly said, "Thank you, Senior, for saving our lives. We are from Thousand Mountain Grotto heaven, and we are very grateful." Saving their lives? Lin Xian sneered. Then he waved his finger, and a stream of yellow spring flew out and enveloped Mo Feng's body. Then Mo Feng's body turned into white bones. His soul kept roaring, and his eyes were filled with endless fear. Too strong. So strong that he could not resist at all. At the same time, his eyes were filled with despair. Was Lin Xian going to attack them too? No. You have already killed people from Xiling Grotto heaven, and offended a grotto heaven. Do you still want to be enemies with Thousand Mountain Grotto heaven? So what if I am your enemy? Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Then he shrouded Mo Feng's soul, and pulled it in front of him. In the next moment, the endless yellow spring wrapped around the two of them. On the other hand, Lin Xian cast a soul illusion spell and pulled his opponent into the lock of spring and autumn. Damn it, it's you. Finally, Mo Feng saw Lin Xian's face. He was really shocked. Wasn't this his battle servant? How could he attack them? Damn it, you don't have the life and death curse? He was really scared out of his wits. How could it be? How did he get rid of the life and death curse? Lin Xian smiled. That's right, it's me. How dare you people from Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven suppress me and injure my senior brother? Wait for my anger. You are the first. Then, a golden light bloomed in his eyes, and Mo Feng's soul was destroyed. Damn it, let Mo Feng go. Below, Fairy Qingqing and the others were also roaring crazily. The surrounding battle servants quickly moved. Lin Xian immediately formed endless chains of the underworld, locking these people down. Now there were only 6 battle servants left. If they attacked together, they would be very powerful. However, Lin Xian was someone who could kill a half-step Saint King. These battle servants were not his match at all. In the next moment he attacked again. The yellow springs diagram cleaved Fairy Qingqing's body apart. Fairy Qingqing's eyes widened. She couldn't believe that he would be killed just like that. There were only 2 people left, and their faces were also filled with fear. Lin Xian really wanted to get rid of these people once and for all. However, he had witnessed the destruction of the Violet Spirit Paradise previously. If these people were all killed, the remaining battle servants wouldn't be able to survive either. At that time, he would have no reason to return to the Thousand Mountain Paradise. Lin Xian didn't want to leave yet. That was because there was still one person who had not been killed. He had to kill Sacred King Xingchen. Furthermore, there were a lot of resources in the Thousand Mountain Cave. Lin Xian planned to use them to break through again. Therefore, Lin Xian was prepared to leave one person behind. With a wave of his hand, he blasted the other man into a bloody mist. Lin Xian left the last person behind. The last person was knocked unconscious. That should be enough, right? Lin Xian's eyes flashed. He put away these people's storage rings. At the same time, he also obtained the 9-turn flame fruit. This thing could allow his divine body to improve further. At this moment, his physique was no weaker than a half-step Saint King's. If he improved further, his physique would reach that of a Saint King's. If he encountered a true Saint King, he would be able to fight. At this moment, Lin Xian suddenly turned his head. His gaze seemed to pierce through the heavens. He saw a figure. And in the distance, Insu, who was still watching the battle, saw this scene, and her pupils shrank. His figure flashed, and he quickly fled. The other party was really too strong. Was there anyone else? Lin Xian frowned. He also chased and instantly used the void shield to tear the void apart. Then, he enveloped the other party with a palm. With a boom, heaven and earth shattered, and a figure was torn apart by him. However, Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He realized that only a tail had fallen. A clone? And that person had already disappeared without a trace. Don't let me meet you, people of Qingqiu Grotto Heaven. Lin Xian's eyes bloomed with a biting cold murderous intent. In the next moment, he turned around and went back. On the other side, Insu's face became extremely pale. Just now, fortunately, he used a secret technique to dodge the attack. Otherwise, his astral soul would have been destroyed. Damn it, who was it? How dare they attack people of the 2 Grotto Heavens? It was too unbelievable. One should know that although they were all young people, ordinary Saint Kings would not dare to attack them. Attacking them would definitely offend them. The Grotto Heavens. The Grotto Heavens were like overlords in this place. Who dared to provoke them? But now someone really dared to. After returning to the pavilion, the people of Qingqiu Grotto Heaven exclaimed in surprise. Senior sister, you're back. How was the show? They all had smiles on their faces. However, when they saw that Insu's face was pale and her aura was weak, they were all stunned. Senior sister, are you injured? They were extremely nervous. Insu also said that she had to leave quickly. He did not know if that mysterious powerhouse would come after him, but he did not dare to stay there any longer. On the other side, it was raining heavily in the sky. Lu Fei opened her eyes and felt the rain around her. She was also stunned. Where was this place? In the next moment, her pupils constricted. In an instant, Endless nomological laws flew out and formed 7 shields to quickly defend herself. She remembered that they were attacked by a mysterious powerhouse. When she saw that there was no one around, she breathed a sigh of relief and quickly investigated. She found that other than her, the disciples of the other 4 grotto heavens had been killed, and their souls had been destroyed. Many of the battle servants had also fallen, but there were still a few of them. Those people were chained up but did not die. She quickly went forward to investigate, and found that there were a total of 7 people. That person was injured, and his aura was very weak. Lin Xian was naturally among them. Lu Fei asked, "What happened after that? Where was that mysterious powerhouse?" The other battle servants were at a loss. Lin Xian also shook his head. He did not know. He suddenly left and seemed to have gone to chase after someone? So that was the case. Lu Fei heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that she was really lucky. However, when she thought about the deaths of her companions, her expression turned solemn. "Damn it, how dare he attack our 1,000-mountain grotto heaven? We will not let him off. Let's go." A scimitar appeared in her hand and directly cut off the Yellow Springs chains. Then, she left a formation mark there and quickly left with Lin Xian and the others. When they returned to 1,000-mountain grotto heaven, it immediately caused a commotion. The people of 1,000-mountain grotto heaven were furious. Someone actually dared to attack their people. Did Violet Mountain Grotto Heaven have a death wish? They actually dared to attack halfway. Damn it, and that mysterious powerhouse actually attacked the Grotto Heaven. Quickly go and investigate. In an instant, they sent out countless experts to the location marked by the formation. Among them, there were even 2 Sage Kings. Chapter 44-36. Lu Fei, Lin Xian, and the others were also brought back. They wanted to understand the situation. Lin Xian was surprised when he saw this scene. As expected of the heavenly grotto, they reacted so quickly. But so what? He didn't leave any clues behind. Even the person who escaped didn't know it was him. Therefore Lin Xian wasn't worried at all. Sure enough, the 2 great Sage Kings frowned. What this person used was a cold and gloomy law, like the Yellow Springs. He had never heard of such a mysterious person. However, it was useless. No matter how the 2 great Sage Kings searched, they couldn't find any clues. In the end, the 2 great Sage Kings searched the souls of Lu Fei and Lin Xian. Everyone's souls were searched. However, they still didn't find anything. Their faces were gloomy. They could only return empty-handed, and send more people to investigate. Lin Xian didn't care. These people would never find out that it was him. He had to think of a way to quickly consume the 9 revolution flame fruit to improve his physique. Just as they were about to return, a cold light flew over from afar. It was a ray of blue light. It carried an extremely terrifying sword intent and soared into the sky. Heaven and earth were avoided in an instant. The surrounding people looked up one after another. The 2 great Sage Kings' eyes also shone with a cold light. Then their expressions changed. It was Princess Xueqi. The 2 great Sage Kings smiled. Lin Xian and the others also looked up and saw a woman in a blue dress in the sky. She flew down from the sky. Her face was as cold as ice. When Lu Fei saw her, she quickly bowed and greeted Princess Xueqi. The woman in blue nodded and then looked at the 2 great Sage Kings. "I wonder what the 2 deacons are doing here?" Facing the 2 great Sage Kings, the woman in blue seemed very calm. On the contrary, the 2 great Sage Kings seemed to want to curry favor with her. "Princess Xueqi, something happened recently. A mysterious expert has killed the people of our 1,000-mountain grotto. We're currently sending people to investigate the matter." "Is he attacking the 1,000-mountain grotto?" Xueqi furrowed her brows. "You must investigate this matter thoroughly. I still have things to do, so I'll head back first." "Princess Xueqi, is it because of that formation?" one of the Saint Kings asked. Xueqi nodded and said, she had heard that a group of geniuses had been suppressed recently. Among them, some of them seemed to be good at formations. "I'll go ask Sacred King Xingchen. For example, he wanted 1 or 2 battle servants." With that, he soared into the sky and disappeared into the void. Who was this person? Was he very powerful? Lin Xian said to a battle servant beside him. That battle servant had come from the valley with him, and hadn't died either. He nodded and said. Her name was Xueqi, and she was a genius from the Thousand Mountain Cave. Her status was not something that these people could compare to. He was a top disciple with terrifying strength. He was already a half-step Saint King. It was said that he was not far from the true Saint King realm. Furthermore, his father was a powerful elder. Her grandfather was one of the supreme elders of the Thousand Mountain Cave. She was simply a little princess of the Thousand Mountain Cave. No wonder she was so powerful. Regardless of her status or background, she was already very powerful. No wonder these two Saint Kings were so respectful to her. It seemed that there were still some geniuses in the Thousand Mountain Cave. This made Lin Xian feel threatened. However, he didn't know how many people like him there were. Lin Xian investigated for a while but didn't find anything, so he returned. When Lin Xian returned to the Thousand Mountain Cave, someone immediately came to him. Someone is looking for you. One of the battle servants also looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian was puzzled. Oh, what's the matter? Could it be that he had been discovered? It shouldn't be. They didn't see anything happen to him. The battle servant who brought the message said, I don't know. I only know that Sacred King Xingchen is looking for you. That old guy? Lin Xian frowned, and a trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. He would kill this Saint King sooner or later. But soon he asked, then take me to him. The two of them soared into the sky and flew into the distance. Soon they landed in a palace. Greetings, holy ruler Xingchen. The person has been brought over. The battle servant at the front said respectfully. A voice came from inside, asking Lin Xian to come in. You can go in. The battle servant opened the door and stood respectfully, showing no intention of going in. Lin Xian nodded and walked in. He saw Sacred King Xingchen at a glance. At this moment, countless stars surrounded his body, making him look like a god of the heavenly river. His powerful aura suppressed the surroundings. As expected of a middle-stage Saint Venerable, it was very terrifying. Lin Xian was stunned because he realized that Sacred King Xingchen wasn't the only one in the palace. There was another figure standing there as well. It was a woman in blue. She was beautiful, but she was incomparably cold. Lin Xian was stunned, because he had seen this person before. Not long ago, she was the legendary outstanding genius, Xueqi. When the woman in blue looked at Lin Xian, she was also stunned. She said, I've seen you before. You were there when I was investigating the situation outside. Oh. Sacred King Xingchen was stunned. After asking, he understood. He also said, there's someone who doesn't know what's good for him and dares to offend our Thousand Mountain Cave. Don't worry, we'll find him sooner or later and tear him into pieces. Well, let's not talk about this first. Ni Xueqi, this is the kid I told you about, the one who knows formations. What do you think? If you think his strength is good, then take him with you. Lin Xian was stunned, but soon he remembered. Previously, the other party said that because they were setting up a formation, they needed a few people who knew formations. It seemed that they had found him. If he could be valued by the other party, then Lin Xian would be able to come into contact with more cultivation resources. This would be extremely beneficial to his cultivation. Therefore, he was delighted. It seemed that he had to show his talent in formations. At this moment, Xueqi asked, You know formations? Lin Xian, who is proficient in formations, said indifferently. Xueqi snorted coldly after hearing that. You're boasting shamelessly. Even I don't dare to say that I'm proficient in formations. What qualifications do you have to say that? I want to see how you can be so arrogant. She had seen many battle servants, but this was the first time she had seen such an arrogant one. She formed hand seals with her palms, and a blue ice formation appeared. The entire main hall was freezing cold. It was like a world of ice. Apart from Sacred King Xingchen, there was no change. The other places had been frozen. Xueqi's eyes were shining. She wanted to see how this arrogant kid was going to contend with it. If the other party used a divine ability, then she would be very disappointed. Lin Xian did not move in the face of the ice formation that blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Instead, his eyes flickered. Then he pointed his finger forward. He pointed at the void. With a cracking sound, the ice that filled the sky stopped. Chapter 44:37. The Star Saint King was taken aback. Xueqi's pupils shrank. What kind of technique did you use? This isn't a formation, is it? If you use your magical power to break it, I'm afraid I won't be satisfied. Lin Xian said calmly. Princess Xueqi, can't you see that? I attacked the weakest part of your formation. Of course, if you want to use a formation, I'll show it to you. As Lin Xian spoke, he formed a seal with his palms and quickly formed a formation that spread out in all directions. Countless golden crows flew between heaven and earth and formed a golden crow flame formation. Its power wasn't any weaker than the great ice formation from before. Lin Xian was originally a formation genius, and he had also learned from the dark red divine dragon. After that, he had learned from Black Mountain. His attainments in formations were really great, and he was definitely a formation grandmaster. Ordinary Saint King's formations weren't as good as his. Now Lin Xian was just showing off his skills. However, Xueqi was sure that she would be satisfied. Xueqi felt the power of the flame formation. A smile finally appeared on Xueqi's cold face. The ice around her had melted. Very good. Star Saint King, I want this person. The Star Saint King furrowed his brows slightly. He didn't expect Lin Xian's attainments in formations to be so great. He was actually so strong. He felt a trace of danger. This was because this guy had said that he would kill him with his own hands one day. Now that he had followed Princess Xueqi, would he become stronger? However, he quickly sneered and shook his head. So what? A battle servant was still a battle servant. He was a middle-stage Saint King. It wouldn't be long before he faced his next breakthrough. At that time, once he reached the late stage of the Saint King realm, his identity and strength would be greatly changed. There would be earth-shattering changes. How could a mere ant possibly contend against him? Therefore, he eliminated the worry in his heart for her sake. Instead, he smiled and said, Since Xueqi is satisfied, I'm relieved. Lin Xian, from now on you will follow Princess Xueqi and listen to her orders. Lin Xian looked at the blue-clothed woman in front of him. His eyes flickered, and then he nodded. Xueqi was also surprised. Apart from his high attainments in array formations, his attitude also surprised her. To be honest, no battle servant would dare to be so arrogant. It seemed like he was even colder than her. However, this made her even more interested. Therefore, she waved her hand. As she spoke, she walked outside. In the next moment, endless ice enveloped Lin Xian. The ground beneath his feet turned into an ice sword. The two of them soared into the air, and quickly left. This time he was heading toward Xueqi's mansion. Her residence was not just a cave or a palace. It was a place. There were all kinds of resources and landforms inside. Lin Xian took a look. This was even scarier than a saint city in the second star realm. This was just a top disciple. He didn't know about the other core elders. Or how terrifying would the Supreme Elder be? It was a cultivation holy land. After they came down, many people knelt down and bowed. Welcome back, Princess Xueqi. Some of these people were originally from the buried Emperor Star. Some of them were battle servants from other worlds. They were all very respectful. Get up. Xueqi nodded. These people got up. Then they looked at Lin Xian curiously. Who is this person? They were surprised. Looking at the armor he was wearing, he should be a battle servant. However, there had never been a battle servant who could walk beside Princess Xueqi. Princess, 9th young Master Yin has been waiting for you for a long time. At this moment, an old man walked over and said respectfully. It seemed like he was an old butler. 9th young Master Yin? Xueqi frowned. She told him that she didn't have time. But at this moment, a voice sounded from afar. Xueqi, you're finally back. Shortly after, the boundless nomological laws brought a person over quickly. It was a tall man. He wore a golden battle robe. As he walked, he brought with him a powerful force. This person was also a half-step Saint King. He was very strong. It was obvious that he was a top genius of the Thousand Mountain Paradise. Xueqi, I heard that you went out to look for the materials for the formation. How did it go? Did you collect all of them? If you didn't collect all of them, I'll ask my father to collect them for you. He will surely be able to collect all of them for you. It was obvious that this person's status was not ordinary. However, Xueqi said coldly, "There's no need. I already have the materials. If you don't have anything else, don't disturb me." After she spoke, she walked forward. Lin Xian also followed her. He looked at her. At this moment, ninth young master Yin also turned his head and looked over. When he saw Lin Xian, his face sank. There was actually someone who could walk beside Xueqi. Even he didn't receive such treatment. In the next moment, a biting cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. It enveloped Lin Xian. Then he asked, "Xueqi, who is this person?" "He's the battle servant I just brought back. He can help me set up the formation." Xueqi stopped and said coldly. It turned out that he was a battle servant. Ninth young master Yin heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that he wasn't standing beside Xueqi. How could someone else be qualified to stand beside her? "Lad, pay attention to your eyes. Don't look at what you shouldn't look at. Otherwise, I'll make sure that you'll never be able to see it." Ninth young master Yin released a biting cold killing intent. Lin Xian looked at him and said calmly, "Who do you think you are? How dare you order me around?" When he said this, the surrounding people were stunned. Even the old housekeeper was stunned. Was this really a battle servant? Ninth young master Yin was also stunned. Then he said, "Aunt, do you know who you are talking to? Believe it or not, I can make you die without a burial ground in an instant." A terrifying aura emanated from his body. It seemed like he was about to attack Xueqi. However, Xueqi's body flickered and blocked him. "What? Do you dare to touch my man? If you dare to touch him, don't blame me for attacking you." Ninth young master Yin was completely infuriated when he heard this. He asked, "Xueqi, are you going to attack me because of a battle servant?" He really didn't dare to believe this. Xueqi said in a deep voice, "Now I don't welcome you. You should leave quickly." Then she looked at Lin Xian and said, "Follow me." Lin Xian nodded. He looked at ninth young master Yin and revealed a cold smile. Then he shrugged his shoulders and walked forward. Ninth young master Yin was driven mad when he saw the two of them leave. He roared, and the void in the 9 heavens and 10 earth shattered. "Lad, do you think that you can act arrogantly in front of me because you have Xueqi's protection? You are too naive." Chapter 44:38. When the surrounding people heard this, their scalps went numb. They knew that this matter wouldn't end so easily. On the other side, Xueqi brought Lin Xian and Yan Qi to a courtyard. There wasn't anyone here, and countless formations flickered in the surroundings. It was clear that only Xueqi could come here. After she arrived, she turned around and looked at Lin Xian as she spoke coldly. "Although your formation surprised me, I'll advise you. Don't be too arrogant, especially that Yan Qi. It's best if you don't provoke him in the future. His status isn't any weaker than mine." This was especially true for his grandfather, who was also a grand elder. "Do you know what the Supreme Elder's cultivation is? I can tell you that he's the great sage. Therefore, it's best if you stay here and don't go out. Alright, you should rest for a while. There will be a mission for you soon." After saying this, Xueqi walked inside. When Lin Xian heard this, he was surprised. The great sage? One must know that the great sage didn't exist in the second astral realm. They only knew that the Black Mountain was the great sage's remnant soul. How powerful was the real great sage? As expected of the buried Emperor Star, the great sage really existed in these grotto heavens. In the next moment, Lin Xian clenched his fists. He felt his blood boiling. When he tested the heavenly will, his future wasn't just the great sage. It was the heaven illuminator. What kind of scene was that? Lin Xian was looking forward to the day when he could illuminate the heavens. He rested for 2 days. After 2 days, Xueqi gave him a mission. It was to set up some formations. As for the materials for the array formation, they already had enough. Gong Lin Xian took a deep breath and started to form hand seals. He started to set up the formations. On the other side, Yan Qi was gnashing his teeth in anger after he returned. He started to investigate Lin Xian's background. When he found out that Lin Xian was just a battle servant who had just arrived here and was suppressed, he was furious. He was completely enraged. No one had ever dared to challenge him. A mere battle servant was truly courting death. At this moment, the person beside him indeed mentioned ninth young master Yan. Although his identity was unknown, It was said that he was proficient in formations. Now Princess Xueqi was in urgent need of a formation expert. That was why she dared to act so arrogantly. Proficient in formations? Go find me a few geniuses who are proficient in formations. I want to see, when I can replace him, what right does he have to be arrogant? Yanjiu's speed was extremely fast. After about 3 days he really did find 2 people. These 2 people were both holy venerates. However, it was said that the array formations were all very advanced. One of them was a battle servant, while the other was a disciple of the Thousand Mountain Cave. Greetings to 9th Young Master Yan. The 2 of them bowed respectfully. The battle servant was extremely nervous, while the other disciple was extremely excited. He knew how noble 9th Young Master Yan's status was. If he could gain the approval of 9th Young Master Yan, then his future path of martial arts would be much easier. He would soar into the sky. The battle servant's true form was a python, and he was a demonic beast. His name was Han Mang. As for the disciple, he was called Hua Tuesday. 9th Young Master Yan personally tested the strength of the 2 people's formations. After that he nodded slightly. Very good, these 2 people's formations were indeed very powerful. Ordinary formation masters of the older generation were no match for them. If the 2 people he brought with him could help Princess Xueqi, then the lad from before would be useless. If he wanted to kill the lad again, Xueqi would not stop him. When 9th Young Master Yan thought of this, a smug smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. He brought the 2 people with him and walked into the distance. Soon, he came to Xueqi's mansion again. The mansion's old housekeeper informed Xueqi. Xueqi frowned and told him that she was not free. The old housekeeper said, "That's what I said too." However, 9th Young Master Yan said that he found 2 top-notch formation masters, and they might be of help to the princess. Oh, formation masters? Xueqi's eyes flickered. She thought for a moment and said, "All right. Bring them here." Before long, 9th Young Master Yan brought the 2 people with him. Xueqi waved her hand, and countless formations formed a passageway. The 3 of them walked in. Xueqi. 9th Young Master Yan's lips curled into a smile. "I know you need a master of formations. That's why I found 2 for you. What do you think? Why don't you test the strength of the 2 of them?" Xueqi was holding an ancient book in her hand, and she was studying formations. She said, "I am not free. However, I will find someone to test them for me." She called out Lin Xian's name. Lin Xian walked out of another hall and said, "Who wants me to test them?" When 9th Young Master Yan saw Lin Xian, his face turned gloomy. A cold smile appeared on his face. "Xueqi, if the 2 people I found can surpass this lad, then they can stay here. Could it be that they could stay here and help you, while this brat would be a piece of trash? When the time comes, I will take him away. Do you have any objections?" Xueqi said calmly, "I have no objections. I never want good-for-nothings." When Lin Xian heard this, he squinted his eyes. This woman was really cold. However, he soon smiled. "You want to replace me? What a joke." He walked over and said, "9th Young Master Yan, did you find 2 good-for-nothings? You want to challenge me? I advise you to go back. Otherwise, if you lose face, I won't be responsible. Lad, you can be arrogant. I will see how arrogant you can be when you are defeated by formations." 9th Young Master Yan smiled coldly. Then he said, "Han Mang, you go first." Han Mang walked out, and his body shone with a terrifying radiance. "Lad, let's not compete in magical powers or laws. How about we compete in formations?" "As you wish." Lin Xian shrugged his shoulders. In the next moment he waved his hand, and countless formations appeared in the sky and formed a formation. It pressed down toward the sky. It was a fire formation, and the 3 golden crows kept roaring in it. They carried a powerful flame power, and it seemed like they wanted to burn everything. Han Mang, who was opposite him, sneered coldly. He kept forming seals with his palms. Countless array formations were cast out by him, and quickly formed into an array formation. Then, the aura in the sky instantly became cold. It was also an ice formation. Moreover, there were 5 illusions of giant ice pythons in it. It was obvious that this formation was made by a formation master according to his own characteristics. It was extremely terrifying. Boom. The two formations with completely opposite auras clashed. In an instant, terrifying auras swept out in all directions. Terrifying flames surged out, and terrifying ice froze everything. The 5 giant pythons enveloped the golden crows, and it seemed like they would seal them at any time. Ninth young master Yen sneered when he saw this. I thought you were some powerful expert. It turns out that you are so weak that you can't even defeat one of my battle servants. Xueqi, it seems like you have been deceived by this lad. Chapter 4439. Xueqi raised her head and looked forward. Her eyes flashed and her face was expressionless. She had seen the power of Lin Xian's array. Back then, there were more than 3 golden crows in the formation. She knew that Lin Xian was hiding his strength. Sure enough, the next moment Lin Xian said, 5 giant pythons, is this all you have? If that was all, the battle would be over. After saying that, he formed a seal again, and the array kept changing. Endless flames swept across. 3 more golden crows appeared next to the 3 golden crows. 6 golden crows circled in the sky like 6 suns. Is the power of the array strengthened? Han Meng was stunned. Is he hiding his strength? Humph. Do you think you are the only one who is hiding your strength? After he finished saying those words, his spirit formation grew stronger again. The 5 giant pythons turned into 7. They outnumbered his opponent. Kid, you are no match for me. No match for me? Lin Xian sneered. You think too highly of yourself. After saying that, the 6 golden crows turned into 9 again. They circled in the sky and the terrifying flames blasted the ice array apart. Han Meng was sent flying. Countless cracks appeared on his body. He was enveloped by the flames. No. 9th Prince Yen, save me. Han Meng roared crazily. He could feel that he could not withstand the flames. His soul was about to be destroyed. 9th Prince Yen snorted when he saw this. He raised his hand and tried to extinguish the flames. However, he was too late. In an instant he was turned into ashes. His soul was destroyed. How dare you kill him? 9th Prince Yen shouted angrily. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Lin Xian said calmly, the battle of arrays is very dangerous. If you are careless, your soul will be destroyed. Don't you know this? If you don't even know this, how can you find a powerful array master? Lin Xian looked at him with disdain. 9th Prince Yen gritted his teeth. Damn it. What a piece of trash. You have embarrassed me. He then looked at another person and said, Hua Tu, make your move. Don't hold back at all. Destroy this brat's heart and soul. Hua Tu took a deep breath. To be honest, he was also shocked just now. His array formation was more powerful than the cold light. When he first came here, he was still dismissive. However, after watching the match, he was a little hesitant. Therefore, when he heard young Master Yanjio's words, he did not step forward immediately. What? You don't even listen to me anymore? Do you want to die? The 9th young master felt utterly humiliated when he saw that his other partner was so timid. Lin Xian, however, burst into laughter. Young Master Yanjio, I've heard that you have an extraordinary status. Why did you find such trash? This doesn't match your status at all. Why don't you go back today and stop embarrassing yourself here? Xueqi, who was beside him, spoke calmly. Yanjio, have you caused enough trouble? I don't have time to play with you. Yanjio gritted his teeth. He glared at Hua Tu and said coldly, attack, or I'll kill you right now. Hua Tu was so scared that he almost cried. If he knew that it was so dangerous, he wouldn't have come here. Lin Xian said, all right, I'll give you a chance. I won't use the array formation just now. You can make your move. Hua Tu was surprised when he heard this. Is he serious? The Golden Crow array formation should be his strongest array formation. If he didn't use his strongest array formation, he might have a chance to win. So he said, all right, brat, since you said so, don't blame me for being impolite. Don't worry, young master. I'll take him down now. The 9th young master smiled. All right, when you succeed, I'll raise your cultivation by 1 level. Really? Hua Tu became even more excited. This time he had to kill his opponent even if he had to risk his life. In the next moment, he waved his hand and endless saber light formed a heavenly saber array. It was a peerless killing array. A terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Hua Tu was very powerful. With this array formation, he could fight against more than 5 experts of the same level. It could be said that he was a genius in array formations. However, it was a pity that he met Lin Xian. When Lin Xian saw the array formation, he smiled. The Golden Crow array formation just now was just a casual attack. Then he used a 5-element sword array. The power of the 5 laws intertwined and formed a great array formation. Not only did it contain the power of the 5 laws, but it also contained the power of the sword principle. Suddenly, the sky was filled with sword energy. When the sword array appeared, even Xueqi raised her head. Her eyes were filled with surprise. The power of this array formation was beyond her imagination. Huatu was so scared that he cried. What's going on? Isn't his Golden Crow array formation the strongest? Why is this array more terrifying than the Golden Crow array formation? It was too late for him to run away now. He could only grit his teeth. The saber light that filled the sky shot out and destroyed everything. However, in the 5-element sword array, it kept shattering. In an instant, the Heavenly Path array formation was broken. Huatu quickly ran away. Boom. When 9th young Master Yin saw this, he slapped Huatu and turned him into a bloody mist. Huatu's soul was destroyed by him. Lad, just you wait. This matter won't end like this. After he spoke, he turned around and left. It was too shameful. The 2 formation geniuses that he had found couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. How could he still have the face to stay here? Lin Xian sneered coldly. I'll teach you a lesson any time. He withdrew the 5-elemental sword formation with a hint of disdain in his eyes. After 9th young Master Yin left, Xueqi stood up and said, You hid your power before. You didn't say that I couldn't hide my power. Lin Xian turned around and looked at her with a smile. Xueqi frowned when she saw his nonchalant attitude. She opened her mouth once again and said, I told you not to provoke 9th young Master Yin. Didn't you understand what I said? In my opinion, he isn't worth fearing. Lin Xian shook his head. Xueqi's frown deepened. She discovered that he didn't seem like a battle servant. Instead, he seemed like a supreme genius. Xueqi was even surprised by him. It seemed like there was a layer of mist around him that she couldn't see through. It seemed like she would have to study him carefully after the matter of the formation was over. Let's go and set up the formation. Xueqi spoke once again. However, Lin Xian didn't leave. He said coldly, Look at the formation you set up. If I'm not mistaken, you must be going to an ancient land. Xueqi was taken aback when she heard this. How did you know? Lin Xian said that the formation you set up was a way to break formations. It was obvious that the place you were going to has a more terrifying formation. That's why you are preparing it now. Those who possess such terrifying formations were usually passed down from ancient times, or came from even more terrifying places. Chapter 4440. What do you suggest? Xueqi asked. She didn't notice that her attitude had changed. If it were other battle servants, they would have to kneel on the ground if they wanted to talk to her. However, she was now asking for Lin Xian's opinion. Lin Xian said, I can help you set up the array you want. Moreover, he could even accompany her to that place because he could break the formation. However, you must give me some time. Give me 3 months, and give me a quiet place to cultivate. I might make a breakthrough. During this process, no one is allowed to disturb me, and no one is allowed to investigate me, including you. If you can do it, I will help you complete the formation, and I will even help you break the ancient place. Okay, no problem, I promise you. Xueqi approved of Lin Xian's formation skills. She could afford to wait for 3 months. Therefore, she found a place for Lin Xian, and ordered that no one was allowed to approach it. Even she herself started to cultivate in seclusion. The place where Lin Xian was at was a mountain range. It was very wide. After he arrived, he set up his own array formation. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. Then he recovered to his peak state, and with a flip of his palm, he took out the 9 revolution inferno fruit. Buzz. He activated his divine body, and terrifying flames surged out. They seemed capable of burning the 9 heavens. In the next moment, the 9 revolution inferno fruit sensed the might of the 9 suns' divine flame, and a terrifying aura erupted from it. Its might wasn't any weaker than the 9 suns' divine flame, and it was even stronger. As expected of the legendary divine fruit, Lin Xian was overjoyed and he started to absorb the fruit's power. 3 months later, Xueqi looked into the distance, and her eyes flickered. It had already been 3 months, and that guy still hadn't made any move? Could it be that he was going to continue cultivating? She had obtained some information recently, and it seemed like some changes were about to occur in that place. If other people were attracted, it would be troublesome. Therefore, she was somewhat anxious. On this day, a rumbling sound was suddenly heard in front of her. Then, the sky started to shake, and countless cracks appeared in the sky. It seemed like the ground was about to split open. It formed many large canyons that extended in all directions. At this moment, everyone in the mansion was stunned. They thought that someone was attacking. Countless figures soared into the sky. One soul after another spread out in all directions to investigate. Xueqi was startled. She had sensed that the sound had come from Lin Xian's direction. She then said that everyone should retreat, and that everything would be fine. Although the surrounding people were puzzled, they all withdrew their souls. It was no longer probing. The tremors in front of them became more and more intense. In the end, there seemed to be terrifying thunder falling from the sky. One after another, they pierced through the world. At this moment, not only the entire mansion, but even the people of the Thousand Mountain Cave were alarmed. Countless people looked into the distance. That seemed to be a lightning tribulation. Was someone undergoing a tribulation? Princess Xueqi's residence was in that direction. Could it be that she had made a breakthrough? Exclamations could be heard one after another. Even the Saint Kings were alarmed. This was because the lightning calamity this time was extremely terrifying. Moreover, if he broke through again, he would become a true king sage. This was an extremely heaven-defying feat among the young people. This was why many Saint Kings flew over. As for the young geniuses, their eyes were filled with envy. There was even a middle-aged man who laughed heartily. Xueqi, are you going to make a breakthrough? This man was Xueqi's father. He was also a Saint King, and he was extremely powerful. However, after these Saint Kings arrived, they all stopped. This was because they discovered that Xueqi's residence had a formation array activated. It enveloped everything, and no one was allowed to enter. This made Xueqi's father even more certain that she was making a breakthrough. This was why he said that they should just wait and see. The other Saint Kings didn't dare to disturb him, and they all nodded. Xueqi, who was in the mansion, was also alarmed. The lightning calamity caused her hair to stand on end. What is this guy doing? Is he going to make a breakthrough and become a Saint King? However, this shouldn't be the case. She had checked Lin Xian's cultivation before, and it was only at the intermediate stage of the Saint Venerable realm. Even if this guy wanted to make a breakthrough, he would only be at the late stage of the Saint Venerable realm. How could he attract such a terrifying heavenly tribulation? She didn't know. After waiting for 9 days, the terrifying lightning calamity slowly disappeared, and countless large cracks appeared in the sky. A figure walked out of it. It was Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian wore a smile at the corners of his mouth. He was very happy. Previously, he had absorbed the 9 revolution flame fruit, and his divine body had made a breakthrough again. Although his cultivation was still at the intermediate stage of the Saint Venerable realm, his current divine body was already comparable to a Saint King's. This was a terrifying transformation. This meant that ordinary half-step Saint Kings couldn't even break his defense. Lin Xian was finally able to contend against a Saint King. As he thought of this, he clenched his fists. The next step was to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. However, before that, he didn't forget what he had promised Xueqi. This was why he walked out. Xueqi opened her eyes wide, and she looked curiously at Lin Xian. This guy's cultivation didn't seem to have changed. Although it was slightly stronger, it didn't make a breakthrough. Then what was the lightning calamity? Xueqi asked curiously. However, Lin Xian shook his head and said that it was his secret. Xueqi curled her lips and said, "You are really stingy." Xueqi curled her lips and said, "Okay, I won't ask about your matters. However, you must fulfill your promise to me." Lin Xian nodded and said, "Of course. Now, I will do my best to help you and complete the formation. I can even go with you to that place." "Okay, you can set your mind at ease and set up the formation." After Xueqi spoke, she flew outside. This was because she knew that she was now the center of attention. Countless gazes were looking at her, and there were even many saint kings among them. She must go out and explain this matter to them. Princess Xueqi came out. The people outside cried out in alarm. Did Princess Xueqi already become a saint king? The terrifying lightning calamity in front of her must have been a success. Some people were about to congratulate her, but when they saw that Xueqi was still a half-step saint king, they were stunned. Xueqi's father was also stunned. What's going on? Xueqi, did you fail? Xueqi didn't know what to say, so she said, Father, this matter isn't like what you think. Forget it, let's talk about it later. Seniors, please go back. After that, the Saint Kings left, and the mansion quieted down once again. As for Lin Xian and Xueqi, they put all their efforts into setting up the formation. After a month, they finally finished setting up the formation successfully. This is great. With these formations, we will have a higher chance of going to that place. A smile appeared on Xueqi's ice-cold face once again. Even Lin Xian was stunned. At this moment, a flying sword flew over from afar, and there was a formation on it. Chapter 44-41. Not good. What happened? Lin Xian asked. Xueqi said that there were some changes in that place, and it was discovered. Now many experts were going there. Since this is the case, let's not waste any time and go. Lin Xian said in a low voice. Xueqi shook her head. I'm afraid that with our current strength, we can't go there. We have to borrow the power of the Grotto Heaven. How about this? Wait for me and I'll report this to the Grotto Heaven. Then we can go there together. To be honest, Xueqi was unwilling. After all, she was the one who discovered that place. No one else had discovered it. She wanted to go there alone. That way, she could get as many treasures as she wanted. But now she couldn't. The experts of the other Grotto Heavens and families had also discovered it. If she went there alone, she wouldn't have any advantages. So, she could only borrow the power of the Grotto Heaven. Although she would get fewer treasures in the end, it would be better than going there alone. But it would be safer. When the Grotto Heaven heard the news, they were shocked. They hurriedly sent people to investigate. Sure enough, they found that it was a strange place. Furthermore, many experts had already begun to move out. The Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven also gathered a group of experts, led by the Sage King. They were ready to go. Among them, Yinjie was also there. He also brought his powerful battle servant. Besides him, there were also some top geniuses. They all brought their battle servants and prepared to go there. Xueqi only brought Lin Xian with her. A group of people gathered at the square. Then they sat on huge spirit boats and sage weapons and soared into the sky. They set off towards that strange place. At the Mount Han. Here ice covered everything. It was very cold and ordinary sages didn't dare to go there, because they would be frozen into ice. On this day, there were countless rays of light that streaked across the sky above the Mount Han. The terrifying aura shone on Zhao Yao. This place was really strange. On a spirit boat in the distance, a figure sighed. Lin Xian and the rest were also in this team. It was the team from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven. They had finally arrived. If I'm not wrong, this should be a place left behind from the Antiquity Age. We've already flipped through the ancient books. It's very likely that the residence or inheritance of an ancient expert is buried here. At the very least, he was at the level of the great sage. Was this a cave left behind by a great sage? When the surrounding people heard this, they all took a deep breath. The great sage was an existence that everyone had to look up to. Even their Grotto Heaven did not have many great sage, and they were all living fossils. He wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice. Now, if they could obtain the inheritance of the great sage, their martial path would improve once again. Everyone was extremely excited, and even Xueqi was the same. Lin Xian was also surprised, and a smile appeared on his face. The ancient great sage? I hope you don't disappoint me. At this moment, quite a few people had already arrived at Mount Han. These people stood on different sides, exchanging greetings with each other. Then he became vigilant. After all, after coming here, everyone was a competitor. At this moment, someone below exclaimed, "Look, more people are coming." It should be the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven. Many people looked over, and their gazes were like divine lamps that illuminated the world. Lin Xian and the rest of the people's spirit boats were also descending. When they finally arrived at the bottom, they could feel the powerful icy aura around them. Many people gasped. It was really a terrifying place. No wonder ordinary sages did not dare to come here. After the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven arrived, other experts also came. Even the people from the Xiling Grotto Heaven and the Green Hill Grotto Heaven came. In addition, the people from the Howren Grotto Heaven were also here. These people were not weaker than the people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven. Therefore, when they arrived, their powerful auras suppressed the entire area. In addition to these grotto heavens, there were also some other families. In short, there were many people who came. After all, a great sage, and something left behind by the great sage from the ancient times, was enough to tempt these grotto heavens. Lin Xian looked around and found that those families were very strong, and even stronger. For example, the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven had sent 8 Saint Kings. The weakest ones left were Saint Venerables in the later stage. There were even more Saint Venerables and half-step Saint Kings, and most of them were of the younger generation. One could imagine how powerful they were. And the other grotto heavens were similar to them. However, the Xiling Grotto Heaven sent 4 Saint Kings, which surprised countless people. The people from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven looked at the Xiling Grotto Heaven and snorted. After all, they knew that the Xiling Grotto Heaven had attacked their disciples before. The people from the Xiling Grotto Heaven looked around. They also knew about the death of Sir Ling Su and the others immediately. Later, they also went to investigate, and even found out about the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven. However, the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven did not give in. In the end, when they found out that it was the Xiling Grotto Heaven who attacked first, the Xiling Grotto Heaven had no choice but to put this matter aside for the time being. However, they also did not give up on the mysterious person. They felt that someone seemed to be targeting them. So this time they sent the 10 great sage kings. They thought that it should be foolproof. On their spirit boat, there was also a young man who looked somewhat similar to Sir Ling Su. His aura was even more terrifying. Although he was also a half-step Saint King, he was much more powerful than Sir Ling Su, and his aura was similar to Xueqi's. He should be at least at the level of Sir Yanjiu. This person was Sir Ling Su's elder brother, Sir Ling Tian. Feeling the gazes of the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven, the people from the Xiling Grotto Heaven also turned their heads. The leader of the group, an old man, laughed and said, "Friends from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven, you are quite early. You are not slow either." The leader of the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven was an elder. Elder Tian's cultivation had reached the middle stage of Saint Venerables. On the other side, the leader of the Xiling Grotto Heaven was an elder. He was called Elder Jinpeng, and he was a rare beast. His cultivation had also reached the middle stage of Saint Venerables. As he spoke with a smile, he looked at Xueqi and the others. Then he smiled and said, "This must be Princess Xueqi. I heard that she cultivated the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven's unique skill, the Dark Ice Formula, and she has already cultivated it to the 6th level. Now that I have seen her, she is indeed extraordinary." It seemed that the laws in this cold mountain had also improved. "Senior, you are too polite," Xueqi said flatly. The people from the Xiling Grotto Heaven all looked over and stared into the distance. Many people's eyes immediately shone with a cold light. This person was the legendary Heaven's favored daughter. Many people had heard of her name, but this was the first time they had seen her. Among them, Sir Ling Tian naturally saw her. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.